And good morning. It is a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I am Glenn Clark. Stan the Fan Charles is in as he is every Friday morning. Actually, he wasn't in last Friday morning, now that I say that. And I guess none of us are going to be here next Friday morning. But other than all of those Friday mornings, he's in every Friday morning. Good morning, Stan the Fan. How are you?
Like clockwork.
Correct.
With a powdered cake donut.
Did you get? They weren't sold out. Do they now know? Like, did you assert your authority of the local Dunkin' Donuts to make sure that on Friday mornings there would be?
I have no authority.
Well, I would think that you would have.
Too many.
You're Stan the Fan Charles.
There's too many Dunkin' Donuts all over the map.
Okay.
They are the most convenient place. I mean, Royal Farms is fine.
I love me some Royal Farms.
Yeah.
To make that abundantly clear.
Right. But
Royal Farms has bowls now, by the way. Very excited about getting over to try. I'm a big bowl fan. Like, it's just my preferred. I don't like bread. Like, it was easy for me to give up bread years ago because bread does nothing for me. Royal Farms.
I like bread.
It's one of us. Royal Farms.
You like bread?
No,
I like bread.
I like this kind of bread. I'm a big fan of that. But that kind of bread does nothing for me whatsoever.
I like bread.
Well, I mean, that's going to make one of them. I've always said bread is nothing more than a vehicle for other food.
Micah, Griffin, do you like bread? I like bread.
But what do you... Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about this more. Do you really like bread, or are you just used to eating bread?
I'm just goofing on you with
right.
Judge Kavanaugh about beer.
Oh, sorry.
I like beer.
Oh,
I like
bad.
beer.
Not bad.
I like beer. Do you like beer?
I like beer.
Senator, do you like beer? I
You
like
have to
beer
start,
a
You
lot.
have to start crying, though, in order to really get your message across. And squee and squish and all my friends. God.
We like beer.
Yeah, I'm not a bread guy. Not a bread guy. Anyway, the moral of the story is you can always meet Stan the Fan on Friday mornings if you want to stop by.
Don't mention it again. I had several.
Oh,
I mean, I had
it was
5
awkward.
or 6. Yeah.
It was TMZ.
And they were all female stalkers.
Well, that happens. Was TMZ there?
No.
You didn't say anything stupid to the camera, do
No.
you? That's always
Nancy Pelosi wasn't there
very,
either.
All right, very good. We got a lot to do on the Friday edition of the program. Micah's running the board today, so if anything goes wrong, it's his fault. And Griffin gets off the hook for that, which is great news for him. Don't they know you're doing the show this morning? Who's calling you? Don't they know you're doing the show? It's a Friday. What the hell's going on?
It was a bot call.
Oh, all right. Coming up in a few minutes, Bruce Feldman's going to join us, Fox Sports and The Athletic. One of the stories that we didn't have a lot of opportunity to talk about this week was Biff Poggi getting the head coaching job at the University of Charlotte, which is a wild,
It's like an out-of-nowhere story.
Bruce Feldman labeled him as one of the most interesting men in all of college football, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like, when I talk about Biff Poggi, honestly, that's the word that I come up with because I don't know how else to describe it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
he's a very odd duck in a lot of ways, and highly successful, married, as I understand it, married into money, but then made a fortune in hedge fund stuff, and then worked his way to coaching at Gilman.
Yes.
And became the head coach there. And our friend, the friend Buzz Battaglia worked for him for years, along with Stan White and Joe Ehrman.
Yep.
They loved him, swear by him, and he built a monster high school program.
And many of his former players would tell you he's wonderful. He is a wonderful, wonderful man.
Yeah.
But he's an enigma in a lot of ways.
We tried to get him. We did that TV show on Channel 2 for about 6 years, 500 shows. We never could get him.
I think I've talked to Biff Poggi twice in my life. Yeah. In my life, I think I've had 2 conversations.
He said, "Get out of the way, kid."
Correct. He said, "Who the hell is this guy?" And the St. Francis thing, as I said, HBO is doing a documentary about St. Francis. I was always uncomfortable with it. It was always uncomfortable for me because I did not like the idea of it being painted as some sort of charity mission from Biff Poggi because he was trying to win football games. And
look, the people at Gilman, a new what do they call the person that runs a private school? The not the ringmaster,
the headmaster.
The headmaster.
Yeah,
that's
thank
it.
you.
I got part of it right.
Yeah.
Headmaster. I like beer. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, I was down with squeeze.
No, but the new headmaster came in and he said, "What is this with this football program That's not our priority. Our priority is teaching kids, not bringing kids in that don't really belong here, i.e. racial lines, economic lines, And Biff was out, and they changed the direction of what they were going to do with football. And then somehow he ended up with Jim Harbaugh out in Michigan. And I heard this story back in like 2016 when it was just happening, because my friend Rick Schaefer is a friend of Biff's and got involved with that trip. Remember when they went to Michigan, went to Rome?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
100% in the summer.
Rick was very instrumental in working on the logistics of that trip. And they went to Italy, where it wasn't, and mostly in Rome. But they met with the Pope, I think.
Yeah, and it got a lot of media attention because Jim Harbaugh was still kind of the
new.
Yeah, he had just come back to the college level, and he was going to turn Michigan around, and he was doing things that nobody else was doing at the time, and he was going to revolutionize college football. I don't know, man. I'm interested. This story is very interesting to me. We're going to talk to Bruce Feldman about that. We'll also just talk some college football in general with him. He's going to join us. Of course, it's Friday, so Bo Smolko will check in with us, Pressbox Ravens beat writer. Ravens-Panthers coming up on Sunday. Again, second straight day that both Gus Edwards and Mark Andrews practiced. Mark Andrews doing a weird bit where he's not coming out to practice until after reporters are gone, but he has practiced both the last 2 days. So,
does that mean to you that he's definitely going to play?
If guys are practicing throughout the week, they're playing on Sunday. Like there are so few examples of guys that practice throughout the week and didn't play in the game.
Is Ojabo practicing?
Yes, but he's been practicing.
He's on a different.
Program. It's a different conversation with David Ojabo because he's never played before, right? Like this is just a. I don't know what to make. I don't know why they started his clock when they started his clock. If he wasn't going to be ready to play, like there's a lot of questions I have.
That would be an interesting guess for if Tyus could wing him in.
Oh, I'm sure he could. But Tyus has been busy bringing out the heavy hitters all season long.
But he'd be fascinating.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to David Ojabo. But we'll get you segment number 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show with Calais Campbell. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He's pretty big. Literally quite a large man.
I call him Double C.
Double C, that's because you guys are cool. You guys go hang out on. Doesn't he stop by Dunkin' Donuts too on Friday morning?
Meets me every Friday.
It's a big party. We'll get you that a little bit later on. And we might, my friend Stevie Daniels from ABC2 might be stopping by in the 11 a.m. hour as well to tell us a little bit more about just how miserable it's going to be on Sunday. You're committed to going on Sunday, Stan.
Yeah, I'm committed.
You're no matter what, no matter how you wake up, you walk outside. There's no turning back around and walking back into the house and saying, I'll sit in front of the TV for this one.
No, I'm committed I'm committed this week. Now, that commitment doesn't mean, don't give me one of your bets. I'll bet you that you have to sit through every minute of that game for every minute.
Oh, okay. You're saying you're going to show up.
I'm going to show up.
I'll
take the wind,
right.
I'll feel how the wind is.
At the end of the first quarter, you might decide maybe you've had enough.
I'm expecting the Ravens are 13-point favorites.
Yes.
If this was a 2.5-point game, or a pick-em or something, I might say, you know what, I'm going to watch this at the couch. I'm thinking I go down, I spend $30 for parking, spend about $20 on food. I've spent $60 on the ticket already, $65 or whatever it is. And I'm in for the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and probably a good portion of the third quarter.
All right. So
if it's 27-6 in the middle of the third quarter, I'm probably out.
So when my wife and I went to the Maryland-Wisconsin game a couple weeks ago, which was some of the worst weather I've ever experienced in the history of going to football, glad I flew to Chicago. Then got upsold on a rental car because they did the bit where I needed to be in Madison in 2 hours, and they were like, "Oh, funny thing, we don't have a car for you, but hey, if you want to pay a little bit more, we'll give you an SUV, which is great for gas mileage, on top of everything." Glad I went through all of those hoops to go sit
in the worst
miserable cold rain. By the way, at one point, hail at one point. To watch the worst football game I've ever seen in my life. It was just a tremendous time. But we had decided we were going to stay. So the big thing at Wisconsin games, the end of the third quarter, they play the song Jump Around. And the whole stadium literally jumps up. It's a really cool tradition in college football that you have to experience. So I said, no matter what, we're staying
till Jump Around.
Till Jump Around. Then we'll see where the game is at that point. It was still a 2-score game.
Right.
Maryland hadn't done anything.
Right.
But it was still a
feel.
It was still a
feel
2-score game at that point. So I said, all right, let's see how this drive goes. If Maryland goes down and scores, we'll stick her.
And this is your wife.
My wife, who
you're the poor
who
thing
doesn't
you're putting
really
through.
care about being
right. No,
she likes going to football games.
Right. Because she likes beer.
Exactly right, and
Yeah.
squee. She loves her some squee. So I said, let's just see how this drive goes. If Maryland scores, we stick around. If not, we've been here. We're miserable. Like, we can go ahead and go. I swear to God, the first play of the third quarter was an interception. And I'm like, well, baby, good news for you.
Yeah.
We can start walking up those stairs and headed right out of here. So you are going to go on Sunday.
I'm committed.
I am
taking my cousin Stuart as a guest.
Very nice.
I got to tell you something, though. The show we did 2 weeks ago when you were going to Wisconsin the next day, it reminded me of a story that Josh tells about a local comic. Do you remember Dan Rosen?
Vaguely,
Okay.
yes.
Dan moved to L.A. about 20 years ago, but he was one of the funniest guys. As a buddy, he was one of the funniest guys. He was hung up on this woman for a long time, and Josh is at a game at Fenway Park, and Dan and he are together.
Okay.
And Josh starts telling Dan, he goes, "Hey, have you talked to Nancy lately?" And he goes, "No." And Josh knows he's really hung up on Nancy, right? Yeah, because she's getting married next week.
Oh.
She's getting married next week. You didn't. And Dan's mouth open, because he's still really hung up on her.
And that was what I looked like when I got the weather report from
It was
Griffin?
exactly
Son of a
reminded
bitch.
me of that.
Why did I tell you what Josh did to me on that?
No.
So I go through we're doing a whole planes, trains, and automobiles thing to get to the game
Right.
and back. So legitimately arrived in Chicago. Everything's gone right. We've gotten there in plenty of time. Then the rental car company's like, "Yep, sorry, don't have a car for you," which is, of course, that's a fair way for them to run a business. What a well-regulated industry that is. So they upsell me. Now it's costing me an absurd amount of money. The reason why I did this, I was like, I could fly into Chicago, get a very reasonable price.
But you had Wisconsin, didn't you?
What's
you
that?
Bet on Wisconsin.
Yeah, I did. I bet on Wisconsin.
You
so
knew
all
you
was
had
good.
that money in the pocket.
So I take the SUV. I realize, God, our gas mileage is going to suck. Everything about this is going to suck. But the drive from Chicago to Madison is not bad at all. It's one highway the whole way.
Right.
And you can go 90 the entire time. Like, there is no...
And the rain wasn't that bad on the drive?
It was misting for the most part on the drive. The rain was bad in Madison.
Right.
Right?
Right.
In Chicago, it wasn't raining.
Okay.
It was misting as we got closer. Once we got to Madison, it was miserable. So I'm walking in. The other thing, too, we've, of course, never been to Madison, so we don't know where we're parking. I tried for the entire week to find a parking pass that I could buy online. I couldn't find one.
Okay.
So we had agreed, like, as soon as we see somewhere where they're advertising parking,
We're parking.
we're just going to park, and we're just going to follow everybody to the stadium because we don't know where we're going.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
this is the plan. Our best course of action for all of this is just park, get out, walk behind everybody, get to the stadium.
And time-wise, the kickoff was at noon out there.
It was
right?
at 11 Central.
11
Central, noon Eastern.
And
yes.
what time are you pulling up near
we
the stadium?
pulled
10:40?
into Madison. It was more like 10:20.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more about 10:20. It was a legitimate 2-hour straight shoot drive to Madison. We're into Madison about 10:20. We said the first time we see somewhere to park, we park, we get out.
Right.
So everything's going fine, except it's a very long walk. We made the mistake of the first place we saw for parking.
Should have gone like the third or
Yeah,
fourth
maybe
place.
the 10th. Maybe we should have. But that's fine. Life goes on. We didn't know what we were doing. We had agreed to this. As soon as we saw somewhere to park, get out, walk. And we're following all these people towards the stadium. And everything's good. I start to see the stadium. I realize we're going to make it. It's about 10:45, and I look down at my phone, and sure enough, Josh has texted me. And I don't know if I've read it yet. There was a moment where I realized what was going on. So Josh, who we love, of course, Stan's nephew.
He has a good sense of humor.
Very
too.
very talented actor.
Yeah.
Texts me at 11:32 a.m., so 10:32 Wisconsin time, and says, "You guys make it in safely." And I realized what he's hoping is that the answer is no, that something has gone wrong.
Oh, he's saying it as a question.
Yes, he's asking you guys make it in safely, and I realize it's because he's hoping I say no, it's miserable,
right, exactly.
because then he's going to say, get on a plane, fly to New Orleans, come meet me in New Orleans.
Right.
That's the way it's, because he spent the entirety of the 2 weeks trying to talk me. Exactly right. So
Which is what you wanted to do anyway.
Of course it was what I wanted to do, and would have been
But
great to be able to go with Josh.
You couldn't because your wife couldn't get off on Tuesday.
And I had promised to spend a weekend with my wife. Don't get me wrong, my wife loves Josh too.
Right.
But me going for a weekend with Josh in New Orleans would not have gone over great after all of that.
Gotcha.
So he definitely was rooting for me to say no, sorry, or no, we weren't able to make it in, had a disaster at the airport, and he would have said,
the old uncle doesn't get an invite. I
I'm
never get an
sure
invite.
he would have
I never
loved to
get
have
an-
had you join him in
Never get an
I'm
invite.
sure that's not the
Never
case.
get an invite. Yeah.
You know what? Did you invite him to the game on Sunday, or did you just invite Stewart? Okay. All right.
Well,
All
I
right.
never have to invite him because he sits with the
Yeah, that's true. He's got
and the shoddy. It's not like he's out front going. Anybody got a ticket? Anybody got a ticket? I'm Josh Charles. Anybody got a ticket?
If you're like Stan and you're going to the game on Sunday, stop by the Game Day Firehouse before the game, Ridgely Street, 1202 Ridgely Street, in fact, just west of the stadium, and sample some cooking from the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. You can also register to win your own Ginsu Kamado Grill, as well as $500 worth of grilling meats. You can always use the code TAILGATE. You can save $100 when you order your own Ginsu Kamado Grill at ginsugrills.com.
Do they sell beer there at the Firehouse?
Yeah,
'Cause I like
unlike
beer.
in Qatar.
I like
But did
beer.
you hear what's going on at the World Cup?
No.
2 days before the start of the World Cup,
The announcer's going to be no beer. No beer.
there's already nothing else.
Judge Kavanaugh's not going.
No, correct. He's not going to be able to make it. There's already nothing else. There's already no
There's
porn,
sand
no
and dust.
sex, no nothing. You're not allowed to do anything in Qatar if you're going to the World
Are
Cup.
men allowed to walk without a face, covering?
Yeah, in Qatar, absolutely.
All
Yes,
right,
men are.
good,
But
yeah.
it's already, look, this was already the single worst
It's
decision in the history of sports.
No question about
This
it.
is already embarrassing. Now add to it, they had
No
told the people that were coming, well, you could at least have beer at the games. Now they're saying, no, there will be no beer sold at World Cup games in Qatar on top of everything else. But you can get beer at the Game Day Firehouse on Sunday if you stop by. And given the weather on Sunday, you're probably going to need a lot of it. You're probably going to need – that was the most disappointing thing about Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Unlike Maryland where they started selling beer,
Wisconsin had
still,
no beer?
Well, at the football game.
At the football game,
it's,
no beer.
It's still a relatively new thing in college football, like
Right.
selling beer at games.
But you could have had it at if you'd gotten there at like 10:30.
Yes, if we had gotten there a little bit
and-
earlier, there would have been plenty of tailgate options for us in order to enjoy some beer. But my wife looked around and was like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to need a beer. And we walk up to the area where there no
beer.
Not an option. So instead, she pounded hot chocolate for the entirety of the game. I think I bought about $50 worth of
With the
hot chocolate at the Wisconsin football game. It was a whole thing. It was a whole ordeal.
They play Ohio State this weekend.
Maryland does, yes. And a quick reminder, I need people to – I will be there collecting canned food tomorrow. I will be down in College Park. Our friend A.J. Francis is holding his 6th annual canned food drive, and myself, Tori Smith, and a few others, we will be there helping A.J. out. We hope that you will come down. If you're headed to the game, if you're not planning on going to the game, just swing by beforehand. Swing by.
Are you doing your coach thing this year? I haven't heard you plugging it, or are you taking a year off?
We're not going to take the year. We're not going to do coats this year.
Okay.
So this is the.
Everybody's got a coat now.
Well, not every. Let me finish this thought.
All right.
Please stop by with your canned goods
Yes.
for the game tomorrow, Maryland, Ohio State, as we will be collecting them starting at 2:00. Before a 3:30 kickoff. So please come by with your non-perishable food items to benefit Sarah's House, a wonderful charity in Anne Arundel County.
Will they take cash too at the
Yeah, I guess they would. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, at the
Sure.
Oreo food drives, the Wise food drives, you can throw $20 in or something like that.
So please do that. That's one. Number two, thank you for asking, Stan. We are going to be announcing some details about this next week. This is the reality. Helping Up Mission doesn't need more coats and clothes right now. We have donated so many over the course of the last couple of years that they actually don't They don't have space.
It's not a problem. Yeah.
It's not their biggest need this year. Now, they do still have needs. Their needs are underwear and toiletries. That's what their needs are. So I am working right now with our friend Chris Sherrar from the Helping Up Mission to figure out exactly what this is going to look like. I am going to at least do a fundraising drive for us to go over and purchase new underwear and toiletries for the Helping Up Mission. So I'm working on details. Calais Campbell and Tyus Bowser autographed a helmet for me that I'm going to raffle off. I'm going to be asking everyone to make a $25 donation, and you get a spot in the raffle, and we're going to give away an autograph.
Include me in that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Stan.
That's the least I can do for you.
Well, it really is.
Never
honestly.
let it be said that I
Correct.
didn't do the least I could do.
We're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to look to raise about $2,500 to go purchase underwear and toiletries. And then we're going to try to do some other things. Jeremy Kahn and I are working on an idea for doing a drinking show that maybe somebody can come in and hang out if you're willing to donate a little bit more. And we're still going to try to set up some collection places. It's just a little bit difficult. Instead of going to your closet and pulling out old coats, we'd need you to go out and purchase new items or donate Target gift cards for us to use.
Have you thought about talking to people at either Target or Walmart about maybe you spend with them they will donate?
We have a standing deal with the White Marsh Target location that we're going to be doing something like that with them. So we'll give you more of those details next week. We're still sort of hammering some of them out right now, but thank you for asking about that, Stan. We will be doing another drive for Helping Up Mission. It's just going to be a little bit different this year. Thank you to all of you.
And it's not totally tied in with the holidays. It's going to be ongoing.
Yeah. I mean, but we're going to try. We're still going to try to tie it around the holidays as much as we can. But no, it's not imperative that we have it wrapped up by the holiday. All right, very good. Now, really interested in chatting with our next guest because, as we were talking about at the top of the show, Biff Poggi taking the job at Charlotte is fascinating to us. We'll also talk some, maybe a little Terps, some college football as well. Joining us now, you see him on Fox, you read him in The Athletic. He is Mr. Bruce Feldman, and he's with us here on GCR. Bruce, it's Glenn Clark and Stan the Fan Charles in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Good morning, guys. Good to be on with you.
Let's see if we can't get that squared away as Bruce Feldman from The Athletic is slated to join us. Hey, Bruce. How are you, sir?
Oh, good morning, guys. I could hear you, and I was like, I don't know if they can hear me.
Yeah, unfortunately, but I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time for us. Bruce, take me back a couple of weeks. It's interesting, the timing of this. You wrote this piece for The Athletic about Biff Poggi. Did you know then that he was on the radar for whether it was the Charlotte job or other jobs?
Yeah, some jobs.
Yeah, that there was really a possibility that Biff Poggi was going to end up being a head coach.
No, I'll give you the guys the chronology. So Big Noon, our pregame show at Fox, had Michigan 4 weeks in a row. It's obviously a lot. The first week, I got introduced to Biff before one of the games by a Michigan assistant I knew. We talked for, 5-10 minutes and kind of connected. And then the second week was interesting where, we had some longer conversation on the field. And I had talked to a couple of people I know, and, this is kind of in the guise of what exactly has changed about Michigan, how Jim Harbaugh goes from 2-4 in a year they didn't even play Ohio State. He's on the hot seat. He took a massive pay cut. Now all of a sudden, they won the Big Ten, and they're blowing people out. Like, what's the change? And the way it kind of came together was the more people I talked to, the more it was kind of fortuitous that I ended up, connecting with Biff. And then I would end up talking to guys like Mike McDonald, who is the old, you guys know who that is, obviously, who's the old defensive coordinator there. And I've known Mike a little bit for a while, and we talked, and he raved about Biff. And I was like, all right, maybe there's more of a story. And I told our editors about it. That's 2 weeks in.
Bruce, can I just ask you a real quick question? Had you known the name before?
I did, yeah, because he was so successful. Like, I remembered Victor Obiamiri. I remembered some of those players that, went to Notre Dame. I guess they were, that's almost 20 years ago. It's 15 years ago. So I knew his name. I mean, how do you forget that name?
Yep.
But I'd actually never met him. And I think what was interesting was I was on the field talking to Loxley before that first game, and he had mentioned Biff. And I didn't really think about, oh, Biff is on the other sideline. And then like 5 minutes later, somebody introduced me to him. And then the next thing I know, we're having these long conversations. And the more I asked, the more people I talked to, the more fascinated I got. So somewhere around probably the third week when we started working on, when I told my editor about, hey, I got this story, I think it's going to be really amazing. That's when I started hearing, wait a minute, like, oh, he was a candidate for UConn, and now he might make some sense at Charlotte. And there's like one or two other places that you could possibly see them at least interview him. And so that's how it started to get momentum. And then, as the story was getting closer to print, I knew that there was a legit chance that he could get hired by somebody, because I think you knew that when he went through the interview process, he was going to blow it away, and he was going to be a lot different than most of the guys they interview.
Clearly, he's going to be different than most anybody who interviews for any job anywhere, which is what makes him, you use the word interesting. It's a word that I've used. I've sometimes said enigma, but I feel like when we say enigma, sometimes it comes off with a negative connotation, and that's not what I'm attempting to say. He's really, truly one of the most fascinating individuals that we've ever seen come through this city over the years, and clearly, look, I know that there's a lot of characters in college football, but he comes off as one of the more fascinating characters in the sport at the moment.
He does, and you could write. I mean, I think my story was under 4,000 words, and it started out longer than that, but it could have been 10,000 words. Obviously, I would say you could write a book about him, but Jeffrey Marks did, and it was amazing. And then there's like this other, second act and third act, and I said to my editor, who was unfamiliar with him as I, wrote the first draft. And I was like, hey, by the way, just to put in context, like, this is not something he's bragging about, but the guy I'm talking about, this isn't like, oh, he did well in the stock market on the side.
Right.
Right. It's like I was like, I didn't want that to be a big part of the story, because look, what he did at St. Francis and what he did certainly at Gilman, people who know. But, and to me, the story was really what he has done at Michigan, and this kind of, again, I don't even know if it's the third act, second act, however you want to call it. But like, just for context, by the way, this guy made a real fortune, not just a small fortune, as a business whiz, and has been doing that for 30 years. But also why it's relevant is because he really knows how to manage people. And I'm not exaggerating when I said, like, when I reached out to Jim Harbaugh, he got back to me, and I told him what I was doing. He got back to me in like 5 minutes. When I reached out to Alabama, Nick Saban got back to me, within an hour. They don't do that for just like, any like, assistant coach who's, who may be getting a job or whatever. I mean, that's not just the respect, but I think the loyalty and the admiration those guys have for him. So obviously you guys know a lot about him, and your, audience knows a lot about him. But I think for people like, wait, this guy's never been a college head coach before. And, and like with all these other coordinators he was interviewing opposite. And I'm just thinking, like those other coordinators who could be really good play callers and maybe have a good quarterback or a good defense, that's great. But when you get to be a college head coach, that ain't the job anymore. It's a different job. It's running an organization. It's managing people. It's communicating, and it's having the big picture. And I could see why he wowed people one of the things we talked about at one point was his NIL vision, as he related in one other place. And I was like, there's no other college coach I can imagine who could be able to go into the detail he went into. So I could see why, as soon as, he goes from being a candidate and like, maybe we should consider him, to the guy with like, we can't let this guy get away. So, good on Charlotte's AD. They went an outside the box hire, and, it is a really high upside hire.
We're talking with Bruce Feldman of The Athletic and also Fox Sports. Bruce, I read the piece last night. It was really fascinating. I did a TV show with Pressbox for about 5 or 6 years here in the local market. He would not come on our show. We never could get him close to doing it. I'm just curious. He didn't seek this out, this article that you're doing. It's sort of, you started working on the piece, and then he knew it was happening, and then he went along with talking to you. Is that correct? He did not know.
Yeah. No, I don't. My guess is, initially he did not know who I was when I got introduced to him. I was just a guy wearing a suit, like for Fox's pregame. I mean, he might have recognized my name,
right?
But we had never met. It wasn't like it was coordinated beforehand. It was like, there's a guy I've known since he was a college player at Ole Miss when I worked on my meat market book like 20 years ago. And Biff walked by. He was like, "Hey, let me introduce you to this guy," because they look at him like, Mike McDonald, the Godfather,
right?
Kind of like that way. And so we talked, and then I was like, "Oh, I know who he, like I know of this guy." I wouldn't have been able to. Honestly, I didn't know,
what
that
he looked
as much
like
about him.
Yeah.
Like I remembered, that he had played national games, but I just didn't know it, a ton. And then you're kind of going through your head. And then as it got further along, like maybe midway through the reporting process, I talked to Josh Gaddis for the story, and Josh shared some stuff with me. And then when I brought it up to Biff, he goes, "Yeah, I was gonna." He was like, "I wasn't going to tell you that, but if Josh, opened up to you about that, then, we can talk about it." So I think what was interesting about this story, and it happens sometimes with like deeper pieces, is sometimes people will tell you stuff, but it may not be for the story. They may not want to either put it out there because it may be sensitive or, very personal. And I think when he heard what I was getting from other people, especially when Josh opened up to me the way he did, I think it was like, okay, let me give you more of the context of what this was about. And I think for people who haven't yet read the story in The Athletic, I think the part which is eye-opening is, wait a minute, this guy who's not a coordinator, who isn't a player, how did they make this big improvement? What changed? And then all of a sudden when you see exactly how it works, how he gets people to open up, how he gets people to trust, and because the conversations were so personal that people shared with me, I think it makes a lot more sense, especially when, coaches love to talk about culture all the time. It's like a hackneyed cliche, but when you actually hear what it means and how it works and how how it should work and how it should be outlined and the things that it takes to build it and maintain it, I think then you get a truer sense of why some places fail and why some places actually succeed when you don't know exactly why, because maybe they don't have enough 5 stars, they don't have enough this or that, and yet they still succeed in spite of it. And I thought that was the key to this story, was what you get when people open up. And I think, again, I appreciated some of those people who were close to him who really wanted to speak about it.
It was really interesting to me because I remember hearing about him going to Michigan, when Jim Harbaugh was first there, like within the first year or two. And I remember he was very instrumental in planning a trip to Italy with the team where they went and the players met the Pope or something like this. But then I knew he had come back to Baltimore. It's very fascinating to me that at a critical juncture in Jim Harbaugh's tenure there, which now looks like it's going to last a while, that he had that much trust in this guy to let him kind of sort of, pilot the ship a little bit. It's the read of your story in The Athletic is really fascinating on that level of trust that Harbaugh had in him.
Yeah, I mean, and look, it was interesting when the story went up one morning. I noticed that, like, you can tell when you think stories are going to really resonate with people. What surprised me with that one was I saw a huge spike in the audience from the Texas A&M fan base. And what they picked up on right away, which I didn't think of, but then it made sense to me, was here's Jimbo Fisher, who had been really successful and is now like in a ditch, and he's obviously getting paid a fortune at A&M. He's got all these 5-star recruits and it's this and that, and they stink. The reality is they're not going to make a bowl game and everything. And one of the things you hear from people around the program is Jimbo has to get rid of, basically give up control. He can't be his own play caller. He's got to change. And I think it's really hard for guys people who've been really successful, especially when they get in their 50s, to be open to make significant change or to listen to other people. And I do give Jim Harbaugh a lot of credit because he listened to Biff Poggi, who, while he was wildly successful as a high school coach and wildly successful as a businessman, he'd never been a head coach in college before. He could sit there and go, well, he's never run a Big Ten program, and who knows more about Michigan than me, and this is, whatever. And Jim Harbaugh listened to Biff in all detail about a lot of stuff that were really hard conversations, and that changed, and so, it'll be interesting to see what happens when Biff is in Charlotte and Jim is still, is got Michigan and no, I don't want to say he's on his own, because obviously, he's got a lot of people around him, and I think the culture's been established now, but still, no doubt, I'm sure they're going to miss him a lot.
Bruce, I'm going to ask this question because I know that there is somebody in the world that's thinking this right now out loud, and it'll be my last on Biff Poggi. Somebody is thinking to themselves, wow, a rich white man got a head coaching job with very little experience at the college level when there are other plenty qualified candidates that aren't rich white men that didn't get the job. And it's a difficult conversation to have, right? Because I don't know what makes someone most qualified to be a head coach. But what do you make of the idea of Biff Poggi getting a job like this at an advanced age and, given his background?
Yeah, look, I think there is, because of you're taking this in, the big picture sense, I think there's going to be some skepticism, right? Look, I think it's, in a lot of ways, to me, it's no different than if the guy they hired before that, Will Healy, was in his early 30s. He did a nice job at Austin Peay, but it wasn't like, he did this amazing job at a big program. He got the job, he had a little success, and then he really bottomed out there. So I think, any hire like this, I think you're going to be open to criticism for what you said. But I think there's going to be some circumstances too where, like, if you're the AD, there are plenty of places where you got to take a leap on somebody, right? And I think if you're the AD, I think if you look at it, I don't know everybody they interviewed and the backgrounds of all the people they interviewed, but I think that can't preclude, if you're the AD, saying, all right, this is the guy I think he's so much more of a candidate that what we want. And again, look at what Biff has done in the community there and how he has helped people and impacted people. And what I think what he leaves behind in his legacy, I think it could probably enrich a lot of people in that way, more so, if they just rushed through a hire and just said, hey, we're going to just do it this way. I think you have to give it a chance to who you think is the most capable of the job first, and then go from there.
My last quick question on Biff. It's sort of the 8,000-pound elephant in the room. Does he, from what you gather, does he really care about the kids, or are the kids simply a means to the end of making him highly successful in the coaching world?
No, I think he absolutely, if he didn't really care about the kids would pick up on that. I mean, every kid I talked to at Michigan, there was more than I could get into the story, just talked about what he did, the conversations he would have, and how he invests in them. Like, the one thing I feel really confident in is this Poggi really cares about people. And I think that comes through because the kids would pick up on it. Their families would pick up. There's a lot of stuff that I knew about in the story, that we just it goes. I mean, there's a kid in the program named Alex. He was a triplet when he was born. I think one of his brothers passed away at birth. Another one has had all sorts of challenges. He has cerebral palsy. And he is basically an analyst there in the program, trying to a budding coach. Biff has become like a second father to him. Like, we didn't even get into this in the story. Like, he doesn't need to do that kind of thing, like to reach out to everybody in the building, because we're talking about not just 100+ players. We're talking about almost probably another 100 people who either they're not just coaches, they're custodians, they're student workers, they're managers, or whatever. And so, like, you just meet all these people. You can't put them all in a story to just put in context of just how many people this guy enriches. I mean, so, count me as a believer after a month around him and around that program.
Hey, Bruce, before we let you go, Maryland, there was so much hope earlier in the year. Speaking of Michigan, right? They went and they were competitive at Michigan, and, they beat an SMU team that we thought was maybe a little bit more game for perhaps getting an upset, and things seem to be going in the right direction. And then, they get to Wisconsin, they get to Penn State, and they just sort of get hammered the last couple of weeks. The likelihood is probably not good for them to be competitive against Ohio State tomorrow. What do you make just about
I hear Biff Poggi's coming to Maryland.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. That would be really helpful. What do you just make about the difficulty of what they're up against? I think all of us are still believers that Mike Locksley is, of course, the right person for this job. It's just so unbelievably difficult what he's trying to do, breaking through in this, hellish division to compete in.
Yeah, I don't think they have a ton of depth there. When Leah got hurt, I guess it was against Indiana, they've really kind of struggled since then even more. And I think it's one thing to build the culture. It's another thing to really, I think they have guys. It's how do you handle the adversity? And it's still pretty shaky. I think they took another step, but it was a small step. So what does that mean going forward? I mean, he's recruited pretty well, but there's a clear gap between the top three in that division right now. If they were on the West, it doesn't matter because they're not, but if they were on the West, I don't think you'd see so much of a hurdle for them.
Yeah.
But I think right now that's the battle for them, and they have some firepower, but they had injuries that, to some key guys that they really can't overcome. They're good enough to be a bowl team. I don't think they're good enough right now to be a real top 25 team, and he's just got to keep building there.
At Bruce Feldman, CFB on Twitter is how you follow him. We've linked up the story at The Athletic of what he's told us about Biff Poggi just a couple of weeks ago before he gets the Charlotte job. Bruce, always appreciate you, sir. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning. Look forward to chatting again soon.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports and The Athletic. We're gonna pull a switcheroo here. By the way, I just want to remind everybody: online sports betting. It's official.
It's
Wednesday is the date. We now know the date. It's Wednesday, November 23rd. Will be the first day that you can legally place online sports bets in the state of Maryland. It is official. You can do it on Wednesday.
I'm there.
Well, yeah, you don't have to go anywhere.
I'm in my bedroom.
Right, correct.
In
exactly
the room,
right.
right.
Unlike going to the game on Sunday.
I'm going to be getting over being sick, and I'll be able to bet
from going to the game on Sunday, right? 100%. So you'll just be able to wake up in the morning come Wednesday, and you don't have to put on any pants.
You can bet 24/7.
100%.
Yeah.
You can do it at all times. So
think of all that money you can win.
Lots. Or unfortunately go the other way, like your boy has a few times. The moral of the story is, as you make your decisions about how you're going to bet, now that it's an option on your phone and on your computer here in the state of Maryland, we have been trying at PressBox to help you out and get the best offers for signing up. And if you go right now to PressBoxOnline.com/offers, there are a few registration deals available, up to $300 right now in free money for signing up with a couple of different betting houses, if you will, and some other incentives that could be available.
The average bettor, by the way, they say, gets 2 or 3 of these apps on their phone. They don't just single shoot one.
I think
they get 2 or 3.
It's smart to shop for lines. A lot of times you'll find out that a line is changed at one place but hasn't changed yet at another place. And so you want to just look through the different apps and see where you can get the best odds, where you can, get the best, frankly, incentives for signing up, the best boosts maybe that are available. PressBoxOnline.com/offers is the website. You can find out more about how you can get up to $300 in sign-up credits right now. PressBoxOnline.com/offers. We're going to talk some baseball when we come back in. Jim Bowden did a Q&A this week at The Athletic, and there was one particular answer that really got Orioles fans' attention. And I want to run that by you, Stan, and get your thoughts on it.
Just real quick, just looked it up. The Ohio State-Maryland game tomorrow, the Buckeyes are 27.5 point favorites.
Yes, I'm very aware. I don't know that I'm sticking around for the game. There might be less of me at the Ohio State-Maryland game than there is of
because you need to get home to get the beer.
Correct, for Squee, 100%. That's the plan. It might not be a long appearance from Glenn Clark at the Ohio State. We'll be there before the game for sure.
Yeah.
Once the game starts, might be a cameo at that point.
Food drive.
Yes, food drive tomorrow before the game. Please bring your canned goods. Even if you're not going to the game, please stop by.
Or cash.
Yes, anything you can to help benefit Sarah's house. We'd appreciate it. All right, we'll come back in. We're going to talk some baseball next. Stan the Fan Charles is here. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with Pressbox and Great Ace Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for the Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, November 29th at Mother's Peninsula Grill, 969 Ritchie Highway in Arnold. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
The weather outside is really unpleasant, so it's time to warm up with some comfort classics this winter at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Try the Twisted Ribs and Wings combo. It's 2 full pounds of meat, the mac and cheese bites, Mr. Richards meatloaf, the citrus salmon, the winter spinach salad, and for dessert, here's internet radio personality Griffin Bass to tell you about the bourbon butter cake.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Pair it with a blood orange bourbon cider or a devil's backbone cranberry smash. Place your order now at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Check out Jeremy Kahn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest. And I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
Stan the Fan Charles is here on a Friday edition of the program, and UMBC basketball is back at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena. You can get your tickets right now at umbcretrievers.com. Some great local matchups early in the season. Coppin State, November 30th. Morgan State, December 10th. The women taking on American on December 18th. Join the Retrievers at the Peak this season. Lock in your tickets, umbcretrievers.com.
At the Peak.
Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena.
That's
so they're calling it. The nickname is
Peak.
the Peak. The Peak is
like
what
that.
they're calling it.
I
I like
like
it
that.
too, actually. Stan the Fan. This week at The Athletic. By the way, Stevie Daniels from Channel 2 is going to check in with us in the 11 a.m. hour. We're going to find out more about just how miserable it's going to be both for the Ravens game on Sunday and then maybe for the Maryland game tomorrow.
Always like watching him on Channel 2.
Definitely not yeah, it's a her, Stevie Daniels.
I know that.
Very
I knew
much
that.
a her. This is the question from The Athletic this week. Jim Bowden does a Q&A.
Yep.
Matthew S. asks Matthew Stafford is worried about what the Orioles are doing in the offseason? It's kind of surprising.
Was he eating pizza? Pizza.
Do the Orioles have a shot at Rodon, or will they swim in the Jamison Taillon, Taijuan Walker end of the pool? The answer from Jim Bowden, who we tried to reach out to this morning, but it just didn't work out. The Orioles are swimming in the, quote, deep end, unquote, and touching base with the agents for almost all of the free agent pitchers. The big question, are they ready to compete financially with the big market teams to actually land one? Now, there's some runway, of course, in that answer, which is if the Orioles are just checking in about all the top free agent pitchers, it could be nothing more than just doing due diligence and finding out exactly what those agents think the market is, where they have actually no interest. But the way that he words the answer to the question is at least intriguing to me, that he is presenting a scenario where the Orioles, when he says the Orioles are swimming in the deep end, that says it's not just, hey, so you know, we're the Baltimore Orioles, we're a baseball team, we exist. That smells more like a way of saying, no, they're involved. Like, they're involved on the deeper end of the free agent pitching market, which could speak to the decision to not pick up Jordan Lyles' option, which, as I said at the time, Stan, is only okay if they did it.
If you do better.
If it's in the name of, we like Jordan Lyles, but if we're spending money on pitching, we'd
rather go for, in my opinion, $3 or $4 million more and get somebody who truly is more than an innings eater. He's a winner.
Do you believe the Orioles would really be swimming in the deepest end of the free agent pitching market?
I have to be honest with you. I do not believe that, but Jim certainly has he's much more well connected in the baseball world than I am. My gut feeling is they're checking on it to see what Rodon is really asking for.
You think it's a due diligence?
It's a due diligence, and if there was a fluke situation akin to when they signed Nelson Cruz and got him for 1 year for $8 million.
The market kind of collapsed a little bit for some reason.
They want to know where the market is, But I would think that a Taillon, Taijuan Walker, Jamison Taillon, that's kind of the high end for me for the Orioles. And again, I've written a piece on our website where I put forth a couple names, Lucas Giolito and Jesus Luzardo. They're not free agents.
Right.
You got to give up talent to get them. I think that makes a lot of sense for at least one pitcher. But I could see them making the trade that I propose for Luzardo, who's still only going to make like $3 million the next 3 to 5 the next 2-3 years, and then turn around and possibly sign one big name that's like Taillon or Zach Eflin, somebody that I do not see them coming up with Rodon, Clayton Kershaw, or somebody that high.
When we first started thinking about this, like early in the summer, when it was first, hey, the Orioles might be getting here a little bit quicker than perhaps we thought they were going to be getting here. Maybe we should start taking a look at the free agent market and seeing, what's out there. Rodon was the obvious name that everyone looked at. Rodon was the guy. Looking at, the older pitchers at a short-term price is, of course, interesting, but it just always never came off. Like, if you're going to go somewhere for a year, why would it be Baltimore if you're one of these guys?
At this point in time, I'm interrupting your question. Go ahead. Let me let you ask your question.
The Rodon thing quickly became, the more you dug into it, the more you realized, no, Rodon's going to be the most desirable free agent pitcher on the market.
He's going to be a $35 million a year guy,
he's
probably.
The guy, because of his age, because he's now success in multiple places.
And been healthy for
exactly
the last year
right.
and a half.
Like, Rodon becomes the guy. So I'm going to say the same thing that I always say. Until the Orioles do that, I'm always going to assume they're not going to do that because they never have. It's just never worked. You have to show that you are something other than what you've always been for me to believe that you're going to be that team. So I tend to agree with you, Stan, that this is more of a due diligence thing when it comes to Rodon than it is actually trying to dive into those waters. Or even if they were diving into those waters, the idea that they're going to Jim Bowden's point, outspend, because there is going to be a frenzy.
The Dodgers and Yankees in Texas are going to be the top end of the market for for Rodon and for Justin Verlander.
Of course.
You know.
So one of those teams is going to say, all right, fine, what is the number that gets this done?
Right.
Stop. We'll just
Right.
pay that. That's the way that it's going to go. I guess the interesting part about it to me is even if you're doing your due diligence, does it make a larger statement about the I still think there are people that are skeptical that the Orioles are really spending any actual money at all. Does at least them doing their due diligence and being involved with those conversations, even if you and I are in agreement, there's no chance it's going to happen, is it a sign that they really are going to spend genuine money
when the timing's right?
Exactly right.
I think there's a PR benefit to this that the average fan or the passionate Oriole fan that keeps up with the off season is saying, "Hey, this is really interesting. We were in the hunt for Rodon." You know, the other thing about Rodon that would still scare me is I brought up his health, that he's been healthy, but this is a guy who's had a couple significant injuries when he was with the White Sox. I did a favor personally. Well, actually, he did the favor. He went to the National
Did you perform the surgery?
No, I used to have him on my fantasy team. I drafted him very early in his career, and once he went to the National League, he became a great pitcher. I think the Dodgers are perhaps a landing spot for him. I think Texas is really going to shop at the deep end now that Bruce Bochy's there, and I think that the Yankees are going to come up with either Rodon or Justin Verlander, and I think they probably feel that Verlander is the right guy for them.
So let me go back. You wrote about what you think the Orioles could do.
Yeah.
Where are you on the flip side, which is where are you with what you think they're going to do specifically this offseason?
I think that there's a chance that what I've written about, which are these two potential pitchers that they could acquire by trade, and I didn't look at every single team and go, wait a minute, we could pick up this guy, we could pick up that guy. I'd still love to get Brady Singer from the Royals. I think with a change, J.P. Piccolo, I think that's his name, the new GM, team president there, is not going to trade Brady Singer. I think he knows he's on the cusp of becoming a great pitcher. I think the Orioles will pick up one or two starting pitchers. I think they will also find one or two more relief arms that they feel are better than Joey Crable and, whatever
they can't
else.
have this all come down to they have three arms that they're willing to or that they can trust to use in the bullpen.
You got to have
in this
day and age, when you're really serious about winning, that's as important as anything else you do. Is when you get a lead in the fifth or sixth inning, is protect that lead.
But does some of that come from this goes back to the thing that you and I talked about a couple months ago. It's wrong to use the word abundance because it's not an abundance of starting pitching, but they have more starting pitching options than they've ever. I mean, frankly, I don't know if ever, but in a very long time.
Yeah.
Is the help for the bullpen coming that way? You've obviously talked a lot about DL Hall being that guy. I've always been skeptical that they would start him there, that they are still going to prioritize. We have to see if DL Hall can be a starting pitcher before we make that move. But in general, can they solve some of the bullpen problem, particularly if they are going to add another starting pitcher or two? Can they solve some of that from this mass? Could it end up being that, Dean Kramer, that Kyle Bradish, whoever it might be that ends up getting bumped out of the rotation in this process, could be someone that can help solve the problem in the bullpen?
I think the most logical candidate is Tyler Wells.
Sure.
I think both his injury history and how he's not really built up and shown tremendous durability. I think, to me, Twin Towers at the end of games when Tyler Wells and Bautista would be, and so you don't have to use Bautista every day to get saves.
Okay.
Having them and DL Hall at the end of games with Perez and Brian, what's his name? Brian
Baker?
Baker, yeah Baker and Dylan Tate. Suddenly that becomes a bullpen that potentially is very, very efficient. Look, I had Dan Duquette on the other night, and I said to him...
By the way, quickly, you can find that show right now, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. You also chatted this week with Joe Weinberg from the Cordish Company and John Martin from the Maryland Lottery about the online sports betting
Yep.
going live next week.
Did all those. Got Mike Bordick this coming
Love it.
Monday with Ross Grimsley. And Ross and I had a really good chat with Dan Duquette, who has suddenly become really personable when he does interviews with us. I mean, he's really like a different person. Has moved down to Wilmington, North Carolina. He
I didn't
and
know
his
that
wife,
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I asked him the question about Houston spending. Did you see what they gave Rafael Montero this week?
I did. Mm-hmm.
$34.5 million to a guy who's never made more than 2.7. Wasn't there a number in between
the two? Yeah, you didn't have to go right up
2.75?
to-
Yeah. And he laughed and he said, I said, first of all, I said, also, would you, this is off the air. I said, if Jim Crane, do you want to knock him that much about this? And he goes, Jim Crane's not calling me to be general manager.
Fair. Okay.
He said he thinks that's the greatest thing because my worry is
I didn't even think about the fact they did that without a general manager. Like that didn't even jump.
It's Jim Crane.
He's the one making the decision himself.
Making the
Okay.
decisions. He's pulling a Larry Lucchino, but with really the real money that he's got.
Yeah.
But think about that. My worry was, what is this going to do to the price of Bautista and CNL Perez, Dylan Tate? He's not. Dan's thinking is this is the greatest thing because they don't have enough assets to pay. You know, the money's got to come off somewhere to offset overpaying Montero, and he thinks in due time that'll make the Astros less powerful. And he's not worried from the Orioles' perspective about the price going up where you can't afford Tate and Bautista because he says those pitchers are findable. The guys that can come in 50, 60 times a year for one inning, they're findable. It's the starting pitchers that there's a real paucity of. That's a big word, paucity.
It's not bad. You are talking about them spending real money on pitching.
Yeah.
If they do that, is your belief that there wouldn't then be real money to be spent on a bat? And you and I have talked a lot about the fact that probably the bigger need is offense at the moment than it is pitching.
It actually is, yeah.
Is there room to spend real money? Do you believe that they could be spending real money on pitching and on a bat? Or if they spend real money on pitching, is that the real money that they're spending?
Well, that's why I don't think that they can really swim in the Rodon waters or the or the Justin Verlander, Kershaw waters, because they do need to put some assets toward. And you and I talked 9:30 this morning. Would you take, if the Dodgers don't end up offering Clay Bellinger arbitration, would you take a 1 year
Cody
18
Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger?
Yeah. Clay probably not.
No, Clay's long gone. Would you take a 1 year contract on Cody Bellinger at say $17 or $18 million?
And the argument is that you can never have a bad 1 year contract, right?
That was Andy McPhail said that there's no such thing as a bad 1 year contract.
Even if it doesn't work out, it's gone,
Yep.
right? Like it was 1 year, it didn't hurt you all that much. It was worth maybe taking a risk, seeing if there was something there. There's no way to have a bad 1 year.
I mean,
deal.
suppose you traded Mullins. Let's say by the end of today, we know that Bellinger's out there, and you trade Mullins and get the guy I'm talking about, Luzardo, who makes very little money, is controllable for another 3-4 years, and then you turn around and say, well, who are you going to replace him with? You get a 1 year contract at $18 to $20 million on Cody Bellinger, and suddenly you got defense and an arm that's better than Mullins, and maybe
right.
they can come. Shoulders are really difficult to come back from.
They really are,
and that's what he's suffering. He's had two horrible years.
And I think it still comes back to the question you and I have asked before: is how committed are you to Colton Cowser being your center fielder at some point this season, and what decisions are you making based around that?
The other thing I don't know about Colton Cowser, I don't know if he is truly a bona fide center fielder. I don't know enough about his game. And maybe 1 week on a Friday we can get somebody on like Matt Blood or somebody that can talk about that. But Cowser most likely will be up in some way, shape, or form by June.
I would assume
June next year.
That sounds that timeline sounds about right.
If he goes to Norfolk, first of
Which,
all,
by the way,
I think
is why we've talked a lot about Cedric Mullins because, and I've said before, it doesn't necessarily mean to me that you have to trade Cedric Mullins because we've said all along. The answer for Cedric Mullins might very well be he's better suited to be a corner outfielder at this point. If you still believe in the bat, if it negates a little bit of the arm situation with Cedric Mullins, and the range was very significant for this team and their success this season. We don't talk enough about how the range of the outfield defense was really a major story for this team succeeding this year. So it might very well be that even if they do believe in Colton Cowser as their center fielder when he comes up, the answer
Mullins
to them
could move
is
to left field.
Exactly right.
It's interesting they had. And also, let's not totally rule out Austin Hayes, although I think he'll be shopped. I don't think other teams see him as valuable as Mullins, But remember in the old days when they had Devereaux and Anderson, Anderson was a center fielder,
just playing left,
but he played left and Devereaux played center. Maybe Hayes plays some center, and Mullins' arm hurts you a lot less in left field. But the other player I really think there's a significant chance that we could land is Justin Turner, who I think on a 2-year, $22-23 million contract, because the Dodgers will come back in and try and steal him at 10 or 11, and you'd say, well, then he's going to go. If you're only offering him 11.5, he'll go back to Los Angeles. But if you're offering a second year, he may say, hey, that's worthwhile. And I think he could be this year's Rougned Odor, who really adds something offensively.
Isn't just there for his veteran presence or for big moments, that he could actually be a bat that you could feel some amount of comfort in your lineup.
Remember one thing about Turner last year. He had a down season overall, but the second half of the season was much better. He had an average of like 319 on base percentage, of 360 in the second half, or 380 in the second half of the season.
He ended up hitting. Man, it's so funny we say it was a down year. His slash numbers at the end ended up being 278, 354, 788.
That 354 is how you improve from 305 as a team.
Right.
As a right-handed hitter, do you think, that, coming to Camden
This
Yards
is the eternal. It's funny you said you're having Bordick on Monday. We had him on last week because I saw he was very unhappy about the Jordan Lyles thing.
Right.
And he brought up that he just doesn't know that you're going to be able to get any right-handed hitter to agree to can't come to Camden Yards at this point.
Well, that's why you look for one that might not be as attractive to other teams. But I'm not fooled into thinking he's unattractive. I just think the Orioles, if they proactively, Brandon Hyde called them, went out to visit him, then Mike Elias, really nobody covets a guy that's 38 years old. Going to be 38. If the Orioles covet him and go that extra mile and explain what they're doing here, and we got a chance to win, this guy's a winner. He's won every year with the Dodgers.
To your point, now again, it was only in 44 games that he played, but in the second half last season, 319, 386, 889 for his OPS. Yeah. So yes, but again, only in 44 games.
To answer Griffin's question, though. Look, it's not ideal. But you're not going to have. You play 81 games on the road too, so you're not going to have your lineup with 9 left-handed hitters every day. So you're going to need some right-handed hitters, and when he hits the ball, it goes.
Sure. It has for some time. I don't know if there'd be any emotional feeling for Justin Turner about kind of coming back to where it started. I don't know if that would be something that would intrigue him at all. But
the other thing. Let's not kid ourselves. We loved Mateo last year, what he did part of the year. The end of the line was 269 on base. So while he'll probably be on the team and probably be the opening day shortstop, there are going to be times where he's not hitting. It would be nice to be able to slide Gunnar over to short.
You're still convinced that
Turner could play third.
They are not hell-bent about Gunnar Henderson being a shortstop.
Not hell-bent on it, but I don't think they're hell-bent that – some of us were really like, wow, Mateo's
you
on
can't
the verge.
move him off 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then you look at the number.
In July and August, we were talking about it like you found something.
Yes.
And yes, by the end of the season, we were reminded like
not quite so fast.
It's something, but it's not something that you have to feel strongly about necessarily.
Now again, there are teams out there that can't shop in the Dansby Swanson. Tim Anderson, well, he's not a free agent. All the 5, Bogarts, Trey Turner, Correa, that say, we got to get a shortstop. Like the Twins, for example. Might they be interested in Jorge Mateo. You know, it's possible.
It's possible. His age makes it so tough, right? Like, if you believe that he was at an age where that could still develop, you know, is getting on base and all that, but like.
But the Gold Glove and the running mitigates some of the on base concerns.
Some of it.
But you also, again, suppose you traded a Connor Norby and him to a team, and you're looking for
see
something.
what you can get back. Yeah, I hear you. All right.
I don't think they will trade Norby.
When do you think you will see the Orioles make a move? Give me a date. The first move. Oh, we need to go back and look at our. Did we decide who lost? Man, I can't believe it. Remember, during the season, we made a bunch of Orioles predictions, and we never went back and revisited them to figure out who owes the other two lunch.
Because of a weak producer.
You know what? I do that. That really is a Griffin responsibility.
Yeah, I think you're right,
and he might be getting a lunch out of it. Yeah. He's not even trying. What the heck is going on there? We'll go back. We'll take a look in a second. Give me a date that you think that the first time we see the Orioles make a move.
I think they will do something because of the nature of how they need to do business for the fans to get people buying these partial, the days of people going, hey, I'm going to shell out $12,000 for season tickets. They need to start around the holidays. So I'm going to say at the winter meetings, they do something of significance.
Okay. I think there would be a lot of people that'd be very excited by that.
And that could be like signing Zach Eflin or something like that.
I'd take it. Yep. I'd take it. Hey, the Tyus Bowser Show returns on Tuesday, November 29th. We're going to get you segment number 3 of this week's show later on in this program, but our next show will be Tuesday, November 29th. We will be at Mother's Peninsula Grill in Arnold with Tyus and his special guest. And as we keep reminding you, he has been killing it with guests this season. It has been overwhelming. So look forward to seeing you then. Tyus,
he's never invited me to be a guest.
He invited Josh, though. PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
And Judge Kavanaugh.
Correct. Yeah. And Squee. PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser is how you find out more. It's a partnership of PressBox and Great 8's memorabilia. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Let's find out just how miserable we're going to be on Sunday. Stevie Daniels from Channel 2 is going to join us next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Looking for a simple holiday meal? Try Chick-fil-A catering. From Chick-fil-A nuggets to mac and cheese, enjoy a variety of tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app and bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details.
UMBC basketball is back at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena, and tickets are available now at umbcretrievers.com. Don't miss any of the great early season matchups as the men take on local rivals Coppin State on November 30th and Morgan State on December 10th, while the women square off with American on December 18th. Experience the excitement of game day at the Peak by getting your tickets right now to come see the Retrievers at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena. Lock yours in at umbcretrievers.com.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, New Maryland basketball coach Kevin Willard sits down with Stan Charles and Glenn Clark to discuss the situation he inherited in College Park and how he plans to get the program turned around. Also, inside, we introduce you to men's and women's college basketball players from all of the teams in the area. And Bo Smoka profiles Ravens receiver Devin Duvernay. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
Today's show is also brought to you by Guilford Hall Brewery, which is a gem. If you have not been to Guilford Hall Brewery, man, what a great place. 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. Great events throughout the week, live music, bar trivia, yappy hour, all sorts of incredible stuff. Plus, the Bavaria-inspired menu is delicious. The craft beer selection, including the Guilford Hall Lager. GuilfordHall.com is the website for you to find out more. Stan the Fan Charles is in studio with us on a Friday edition of the show, and he's planning on going and sitting out in the stands on Sunday for the Ravens game. With Cousin Stewart. The question is he going to survive? Will he be here with us again for another show in the future? I'm not certain of it, but we're going to try to get that answer right now. Joining us once again, our friend from ABC2. She is meteorologist Stevie Daniels, and she's back with us now here on GCR. Stevie, it's Glenna and Stan Charles. It's great to chat with you again. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Can I, before we get to Baltimore, because I remember you spent some time up in Western New York.
Yes. Oh, I'm used to lake effect snow.
Okay, but when I see the word 6 feet of snow, I think to myself, like, we would all die, wouldn't we? Like, how could that be possible?
I think we would shut down in Maryland for probably a month, maybe 2 months, if that happened.
Legitimately.
Didn't they have snow somewhere in that range about 5 years ago up in Buffalo, where they had three?
Yes.
They had 3 or 4 historic snowstorms.
Yep, it was right before I moved from Elmira to Buffalo. Everyone was always talking about that.
Right.
And of course, like, there was the one back in the 80s too that they always refer to. I mean, they're no stranger, but this is an unusual event because the lake effect band, it continues to move. It's just continuing to slide over Western New York, and it's not really going to let up until probably Sunday afternoon.
So it was probably smart for the NFL to make the decision to move the game out of Buffalo and get it into Detroit.
100%. 100%. I don't know how the Bills players would do, running around in 3-4 feet of snow.
I don't know how anybody would move.
But that's done more to protect the public from not having a mass of people trying to get to the game, and that would be a nightmare. I've got to ask you one thing.
Well, I was always wondering. Oh, sure, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just wondering why, because I know they're talking about building a new stadium for the Bills. I'm wondering why they don't want to make it a dome stadium.
Because they're idiots. They live in Buffalo.
It's Stevie. I talk about that. Honest to God, I don't know why any stadium that's built at this point isn't a dome stadium anywhere. Like
exactly, and the Packers too. Like, come on.
And by the way, it's this old school feeling of like, well, football's meant to be played in the elements. Like, okay, to some like I can get that if it's
the extreme weather is kind of a new in the last 15, 20 years. The extreme quality of the weather is just unbelievable.
Absurd, no doubt.
Stevie, this morning I just heard something that they had something called thunder snow.
Which sounds cool, but probably isn't.
What is thunder snow?
So there has to be 2 things that are just right, the temperature and the moisture content in the atmosphere. So think about it like a regular thunderstorm.
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of rising air, there's a lot of lifts and convection. The atmosphere is obviously super unstable. And it kind of occurs just like a regular thunderstorm, but instead of rain that falls, it's snow. So it's just those ice crystals that fall.
So I hear it's because the lake water around there is warmer.
Yes.
Does that mean I could dive in and it would be very comfortable? I mean, what does define warmer?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't recommend diving into Lake Erie.
What would be safer, diving into Lake Erie or diving into the harbor? Which one would be the smarter play?
I would probably say the harbor. The harbor is probably warmer than Lake Erie, but when you get that cold wind like flowing over the lake, I mean, that really does it. And especially when it's ongoing. Like, it's a strong wind over a warm body of water. That's what's pushing the snow. And it's really interesting because areas around Niagara, like the northern counties in western New York, they're not getting nearly as much snow as downtown Buffalo or the south towns, they call it, like just the areas to the south of Buffalo. They just get pelted. And when I moved there, my number one question was, where should I live? Because, I always got nervous about driving in snow, and they said, do not live in the south towns. Do not live in the south towns. Live to the north of downtown Buffalo. And I said, okay.
So what you got?
Because they always get pelted.
You only got 2 feet instead of getting 6 feet. Is the way that it was
exactly.
Nice.
Just in snow.
It was nice.
In snow this heavy, does it ever clog up? Like, does Niagara Falls ever freeze over, or there's so much weight of the water that it becomes a trickle?
I don't think I've ever, in my time there, I've never seen that happen.
Okay.
I think it would take a lot. I mean, that's a large body of water,
6 feet of snow.
Yeah, correct.
Is a lot. It's a lot.
It's
a lot of
extreme.
weight,
Stevie Daniels is with
right.
us from Channel 2. Stevie, obviously the big story around here this weekend is it's going to be the first sort of miserable game of the season. My friend Stan the Fan, who used to do a show over at Channel 2, I don't want to give away his age. Stan's a little bit older.
Yeah.
He's
70.
He's
70.
gonna go to the game on Sunday, and he was talking about
my
doing
68-year-old cousin.
And he was talking about doing it shirtless. I think we've talked him into the idea that maybe that's a bad idea, and maybe he should go ahead.
I never said
game, right?
shirtless. I said the writing would be undercover.
Oh, got it. Right. You were still going to paint your chest,
right.
and everybody's going to see it. Stevie, how miserable is it going to be on Sunday?
Oh my! And we're talking about the Ravens game, right?
Yes,
Not the
correct.
Bills.
Yeah, the Ravens game.
Yeah, the Ravens game. Oh my gosh! So don't let the air temperature fool you. It's going to say mid to upper 30s, so 37 degrees around kickoff time.
Right.
But it's actually going to be feeling about 10 degrees colder than that. So expect wind chills in the mid to upper 20s. That gusty wind up to 30. It is going to be brutal.
Awesome.
I wish you should just get one of those full body suits that cover your face that just protect you from the wind. It's going to be brutal out there.
How close are you and Stuart close enough that you could like bundle up under a blanket together?
We probably could.
Yeah.
And we're very close.
All right, so
we're
that wouldn't be
very close.
that wouldn't be uncomfortable.
I'm going to layer. I've been through this before, and there is a difference that it's in the daytime rather than a Sunday or Monday night where it just really gets bitingly cold.
The good news is there is no precipitation expected, correct?
Right.
No, it's going to be sunny and beautiful. It's going to be cold.
Well, what kind of wind
nice
are we
put it.
talking? 15 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour? What are we?
No, we're talking about sustained winds like 10 to 20, but gusts up to 30.
Oh, gusts. Okay.
Well, I think that's important, Stevie, because that could have an actual impact on the football game.
No question about it.
I was
100%.
I was out in Madison a couple weeks ago for the Maryland-Wisconsin game, and it was that swirling, like constant wind, and on top, now it was raining on top of that there. And I just realized very early on, like, they're not going to throw the ball. They don't know what's going to happen if they throw the ball. It sounds like what you're describing could have a legitimate impact on the game that's being played on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And I've seen that happen at Bills games, too, when the winds have been so gusty. And obviously there was snow during games. It really affected their players' performances.
Great.
Even though, the Bills are so used to the snow and everything, like it really impacted them. And it's definitely going to impact the Ravens.
So an over and under with me staying at the game, let's say 6 minutes into the third quarter. Do you think I'll make it, or I'll bail out sooner than that?
I think you can make it if you believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have that,
that doesn't
I would
sound
have a
promising.
nice hot beverage or a nice drink to keep you warm.
Stevie, we are. I'm part of a canned food drive tomorrow at the Maryland-Ohio State game. Our old buddy AJ Francis, who's now a WWE wrestler, he's hosting it, and I'm helping him collect canned food before the game. So I got to stand outside for a few hours before the game begins and into the first quarter. It's not going to be quite as miserable tomorrow, correct? Like, it's still going to be cold, but not like I want to die type of cold, correct?
No, correct. And tomorrow we're going to hit 44 degrees with lots of sun, but the winds aren't going to be as elevated. So it's going to be a little bit more suitable, I would say, is the correct term. I mean, these temperatures are still like 10, 15 degrees below average. So it's going to be cold out there, but not as blustery, I would say, as Sunday.
What's the weather going to be tomorrow and Sunday in Sarasota? I'm already thinking about spring training.
On that.
Yeah.
Stan's already got one foot out the door.
1 foot out the
all
door.
the way there. Stevie Daniels, WX on Twitter. Stevie, what can we plug for you that's coming up on Channel 2?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What can we plug for you? What's coming up on Channel 2?
I don't know. A lot of stuff.
Okay. When are we seeing you is the question.
4:30 to 7 a.m. I'm also, sometimes I appear on Midday Maryland. But yeah, you can catch me a lot of the times just in the morning, and then I do the cut-ins for Good Morning America, 7 to 9.
Hey, Stevie,
A
really appreciate you taking the time for us this morning. We're hopefully going to survive a weekend of miserable cold. At least we're not in Buffalo, I guess is what we can say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're lucky.
Thank you for taking the time for us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, thanks.
Stevie Daniels from Channel 2 letting us know. So, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of advertisements for a hoodie that's also a blanket that you're supposed to order for your girlfriend for Christmas or for your wife or maybe for both for Christmas. So maybe we could get one of those to you in time so you could wear your hoodie blanket to the game on Sunday in order to try to survive.
I'm glad you're having so much fun.
It's gonna be cold.
It's gonna be nippy.
It's gonna be very nippy. I say this a lot, right? There's a lot of you
Call me Monday to make sure I'm alive.
Oh, I'm gonna check in on Sunday to make sure you're alive. I'm nervous.
Oh, am I gonna get one of those?
A wellness check?
No, like one of those texts.
Oh, like Josh sent. Yeah, right. So you guys,
are you still alive?
You guys make it back safely? We're not going to New Orleans, unfortunately. I said this a lot. A lot of people are going to wake up Sunday morning and decide, I'm good. I'm not going to go. If you're a person that knows that's how you are, and I mean this, maybe think about that today, right? Maybe just think about it today and be practical. If you're the type of person that the weather influences your decision-making, and you know that when you wake up and walk outside on Sunday and it's miserable, you're going to decide, I don't want to do this. Maybe think about that today and see if there's somebody in your life that doesn't have the means to go to games. And
I thought you were talking to me directly.
No, you've confirmed you're going.
Committed.
No matter what, you're going. I mean,
unless I get sick.
John, you're one of those people that wants the tickets. John Colson wants your tickets. John Colson is willing to go.
I'd give them to anybody but John Colson.
It doesn't have to be yours. I'm talking to the people that know that they're the type that will wake up. Griffin, hand John Colson your microphone for a second, if you don't mind. I'm trying to see you're trying to get somebody else's tickets.
No, I'm going.
You're going.
No issue with this.
It doesn't bother. You're not the type of person that's going to wake up and say, "Nah, I can't do this."
No, I dress well.
Right, but you know
I
the
layer.
people that I'm talking. You know that there will be packets or pockets of empty seats on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm not saying overwhelmingly. I'm not suggesting there's going to be 30,000 people
here
at the
and
game.
There will be in the best areas. There will be pockets of empty seats. In the average seats, it'll be completely packed.
I agree with you. In the upper deck.
Not the whole upper deck, but like the good upper deck
right.
and like the end zones, that'll all be packed.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I'm in the end zone, upper deck end zone.
The people that are just throwing money away,
right? They're gonna.
They don't care. They wake up. It's a little chilly. I'm gonna go have brunch.
This is who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people that are going to say on Sunday, I'm just asking, think ahead a little bit. Think today.
Give your tickets away.
Give your tickets to someone else who isn't going to say, I don't feel it. Someone who the opportunity to go to a Ravens game is still a big deal. I think we get lost sometimes, and we forget that there are still a lot of people in our city who don't necessarily have the means when there's only 8 games a year to be able to afford going to a game.
It's also perspective. And what I mean by that is I went to a Monday night football game in Green Bay in late November.
Was this the 09
That's
game?
the one, that's the one you lost the binoculars.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No, that was the one before that, actually.
That was
Very
in
sad.
Green Bay, though.
It was in Green Bay. That was, yes. That was
This is when we were at Ravens Radio together. I said, boy, John was getting us a lot of commercial work and making sure we were getting money and all the talent. I said,
What happened to
chip
that?
in. I said, let's
working
chip
on
in.
it.
I'm kidding.
Well, I said, let's chip in and get John something, binoculars. So I bought him the same pair.
Everybody
that I
chipped
have.
in and got me binoculars.
Well,
That's
hang on.
great.
And he lost them about
because there can be some
2
pretty
weeks.
pricey binoculars.
We bought him a nice
I
pair.
lost them in Green Bay the
Like-
first time I took them someplace
God.
good
2
to use
weeks
them.
later, he
Oh
lost
my
them.
God!
That's the last time I've ever done anything for John.
Jesus.
It was my.
That's not a great sign, man.
It was like my $300 sunglasses that are in a glacier in
Well,
Australia.
in fairness,
Austria.
John got me a nice pair of sunglasses a couple years ago, and I lost those. They were a really nice pair.
Everybody has a
But
story
I
about
survived that freaking game when it was like 17 degrees at night
Remember?
with no sun.
Do you remember the story of that game? Do you remember what happened? It's funny because we were talking about Michigan earlier. The story of that game was John and Jim was on the sidelines for that game. All of them were.
Yeah.
John, Jim, and Jack were all on the sidelines, and they were screaming at the officials and forgot he needed to call a timeout. And the Ravens weren't able to get the ball back at the end of the game because John and Jim and Jack were busy. This is before we knew that John was a really – like when we still had some questions about whether or not this was a really bad look for John Harbaugh at the end of that game, just screaming bloody murder, and then all of a sudden being like, oh, crap, as the clock was ticking away.
I do remember now.
Yeah, it was not a banner night in John Harbaugh's
I couldn't
career.
feel my arms until I got back to Baltimore after
It was
that.
pretty miserable. I went to Madison a couple weeks ago, and I know the feeling. It stunk. All I'm saying is if you're the type that's not going to go on Sunday, try to reach out this week, put it out on social media. If Twitter doesn't die in the next couple of hours, put it out on social media. Hey, I know myself. I'm going to choose not to go to the game on Sunday. Is there somebody out there that is willing to brave the conditions? And we say brave the conditions. There have been far worse conditions than what we're going to experience. It's just going to be cold. It's going to be cold and miserable on Sunday. But there have been rain, snow. We've had other awful conditions over the years. But I would just ask that you put out your tickets to try to have more Ravens fans get the opportunity to go to the game on Sunday instead of there being empty seats.
You guys want to go to the game?
Yeah, Griffin would probably sit out in the cold. But these are young people. They sit
It's
out
not
and-
that. Put on a layer of clothes.
It's what I'm saying. They would go to. Well, they would might not even put on layers. They might
But
go
you
in their
wouldn't,
shorts.
right?
No, I'm over that. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Like hearing Stan talk about it, I'm over it. As I say that, I went out to Madison 2 weeks ago for a football game, and it was hell. But
It's all about the Sorel boots and the good. You just put on the good clothes and you're warm and toasty.
I don't
It's great.
need to any longer. I've been to enough games now.
Okay.
Like that was unique. I'd never been to a game in Madison, right? Like I'm gonna go experience that. But I've been to enough Ravens games that I would, if I were in Stan's shoes at this point, I'd probably be looking for somebody to take my tickets on Sunday. Unless there was something unique. He's talking about his cousin. Maybe if I was going with somebody that it was a cool thing for them, that I would do it. But if it was just...
I did that. I gave my cousin Ron and I, we sit together. We got 4 tickets. We gave them to our cousin, all 4 of them, another cousin, about 3 weeks ago.
Right,
You
right,
know, It had
exactly.
nothing to do with the weather.
It was just the
We
game that you chose that said...
It was the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't
it
like
was a
their
Sunday night game.
uniforms.
Right.
I don't
Is
like
that what
their
it is? That's your problem.
I think we've officially beaten this to death.
Oh, but you came running in from the other room. You were the one. I thought you had something dynamite to offer.
I'm only here to say.
What do you want to plug?
PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
Offers.
100%.
We're not asking. We're begging.
Wednesday is the day. Wednesday.
Yeah, but
is
if you
the
wait
day.
till Wednesday, you don't get the
You lose out.
pre-registration
That's
bonus.
100%.
Yeah.
Call Jane. She's got a couple ideas for influencers.
There we go.
Oh, all right.
Meanwhile, I think Jane could be
I.e.
the main
gambling-
influencer.
i.e. gambling degenerates.
I'm a big fan of gambling
Is she
degenerates.
hanging out with more gambling degenerates
She does.
these days? Thank you, John Colson. Most worshipful Grandmaster John Colson here at PressBox. Yeah, he's not kidding. PressBoxOnline.com/offers. We need you to go there right now and check out all of the pre-registration bonus offers that are available, up to $300 that you can get by signing up early. But to his point, you got to pre-register once it goes live those bonuses go away. PressBoxOnline.com/offers. So go do that right now. When we come back in, we're going to find out what's going on in the world of the young. Still to come, we got segment number 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show with Calais Campbell. It's all on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
UMBC basketball is back at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena, and tickets are available now at umbcretrievers.com. Don't miss any of the great early season matchups as the men take on local rivals Coppin State on November 30th and Morgan State on December 10th, while the women square off with American on December 18th. Experience the excitement of game day at the Peak by getting your tickets right now to come see the Retrievers at Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena. Lock yours in at umbcretrievers.com.
Another Orioles season is in the books, and the Bat-Around was there every step of the way as the Birds posted their first winning season in 6 years. And after promoting 2 #1 overall prospects in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Mike Elias has said it's liftoff from here. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and along with my co-host Zach Goodman, we'll be here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon all off season, discussing every signing, trade, and waiver claim as we navigate the cold winter months that lead to spring training. You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And if you miss a show, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So tune into the Bat-Around with Paul Valley and Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
The Comfort Classics menu is now available at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. It is their winter seasonal menu. They stopped by the other day with a feast. Oh, my gosh.
Do they ever come on Fridays?
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Remember what we talked about with Mike Tirico?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to leave it alone. No.
Jim Bowden, by the way, didn't
weird how that
blow us
worked out.
off.
No, I don't think that.
I was on.
I don't think that's what it was. I don't think that's the case. But Bo, that might have been the case with Bo today. Hey, the Twisted Ribs and Wings combo. It's 2 pounds of meat. The winter spinach salad, the citrus salmon, the mac and cheese bites, Mr. Richards meatloaf, so much more. Griffin housed the bourbon butter cake. I said, Griffin, why don't you try that bourbon butter cake? And then he proceeded to have it injected directly into his veins.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was one of the greatest desserts I've ever had.
Wow.
Speechless. I mean,
wow.
I'll tell you what I had a couple weeks ago was the chowder.
At
Glory
Days?
That way, chowder.
Yeah?
C-H-O-W-D-A.
I don't know that I've ever had their chowder. I don't know that I've ever had
Chowder.
Chowder. White, creamy chowder.
You can pair all these things with a blood orange bourbon cider or a devil's backbone cranberry smash. Get your order in right now, glorydaysgrill.com. So, Griffin, you went back and checked.
Correct. Yes.
When did we do this? Do you remember?
This was July 22nd.
So July 22nd. I don't remember when Stan started coming in on Fridays. It was somewhere during the baseball season.
Yeah, it was like
June
May or
something.
May or
something like
June. And then July
I don't know what
22nd.
possessed me to do this?
And seriously, right? to suffer through everything we put you through. On
Well, we
Fridays.
decided whoever came in last between the three of us would owe the other two a Glory Days Grill lunch.
Which, of course, the main.
John, I need a gift card.
We're all winners in that scenario.
Yes.
Let's be honest about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And Griffin told me since I wasn't here, I'm also included. In
Really?
The free
Is that how that worked out for?
We were talking about it
You
during
got to
the break.
be here to.
Man,
Griffin doesn't make the rules.
Wait a second. Yesterday, you made him the boss of the company.
So what's the bet? I can't even remember.
We made predictions.
Yeah, we had 7 questions, I believe.
for the rest of Orioles
Yes,
season.
8 of them, actually.
All right, let's go over this.
All right, so the first one, will Jordan Lyles be an Oriole after August 2nd?
Of course, the answer was yes.
Yes. And the only one that got that correct was Stan.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
Stan was
So
off to a hot start.
Stan gets a point.
Correct. And then will Jorge Lopez be an Oriole after August 2? Stan said yes. I said yes. Glenn said no.
So Glenn Clark
Glenn and Stan
gets a
have
point. Oh, man. I
No,
don't know if this
Griffin-
is good.
Griffin and Stan have one.
Wait,
Or,
what?
no,
Not looking
wait.
good for
I have
Griffin.
one.
No, why would you
How
get
do
a
you have
point?
one?
You said he would be an Oriole. Jorge Lopez was definitely not an Oriole.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I
I don't know
know what I was thinking.
I don't know what's
Jordan Lyles, you said
Yeah.
would not be in.
Yeah,
Correct,
so
correct.
you're
Yeah, I
0
was
for 2.
You're 0 for 2.
Yeah.
Will Trey Mancini be an Oriole after August 2nd? Stan said yes, and then Glenn and I both said no.
All right, so Griffin is on the board, but I
Yes.
have moved into. I've got a resounding 2-1 advantage.
Then we said, when will we first see DL Hall on a major league mound?
And this was whoever was closest to the correct answer
Yeah,
would get the
what
point.
was it? It was August 12th?
Well, I guess we could better. I'll take a look right now.
First game was against Tampa.
Major.
I think it was
that's
in
right.
July.
That's right. They. I do think it was August. I think
It was
Griffin's
August.
right about that. I think it was August.
So-
August 13th was the date.
Gotcha. Okay, so I think we just said whoever's closest. Then I believe I get this point. Stan said July 25th.
Okay, what did you say?
And then I said August 18th. Glenn, you said August 5th.
Yes, the 18th is 5 days away. The 5th is 8 days away. So yes, you are technically
right.
closer. So
All right.
Griffin.
Griffin is in the lead.
No, he's
right
moved
now?
into a tie.
Okay,
moved
with
into
you.
a tie with me.
And I'm in last.
Yes, you're bringing up the rear. You better get a couple of gift certificates. I've heard how Micah eats.
Do we see Gunnar Henderson play for the Orioles this season? Glenn and I both said yes. Stan said no.
Oh boy.
Stan said no.
Oh boy. This is getting uncomfortable over here. This is getting awkward.
Orioles win total. Stan said 74.
Okay.
Glenn said 73. I said 78.
Oh, Griffin.
Yeah.
Griffin moves into first place.
First place. Of course,
I'm officially out.
no
now.
advantage to being in first place. Just trying to avoid last place here. And
Boy, I am hungry.
Micah is not part of this. No.
He's been working hard for us
I would
all
have changed.
semester.
I would have answered
Oh, you would have
differently.
if you had known Micah was part of it.
World Series matchup and winner. We said 1 point for a team making it, and then 1 point for
I
getting
don't
the
think I
correct
got
answer.
either
I
one
had
of
the
them.
Dodgers and
Yeah.
I had the Dodgers.
You did not know, Stan. You had Mets over Astros.
Okay,
So you
So
got-
Stan
one
gets a
team.
point.
So you get 1 point for that. All right.
Glenn said the Astros over the Mets.
Oh, so I get what do I get? I get 2 points because
I
I
think
got
so,
a
yeah.
team in and the winner, correct?
Yes.
Oh boy.
And then I said the Yankees over the Mets.
Well, that didn't work
Yeah, it
out.
didn't work
I
out.
have surged in front now. I have 5 points. Griffin has 4.
And that's the end of it, right?
Stan is
We have one more.
also competing.
The MVO, who was the media voted Orioles MVP.
Oh, this might be my worst one.
Stan, you said Jorge Lopez.
Okay.
Might have been.
Glenn said Austin Hayes.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. And I said Adley Rutschman.
So Griffin and I finish in a tie.
So you guys pay for.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Griffin and I finish in a tie, 5 points each. So, Stan. Anyway,
Colson, we need gift cards for 2 gift cards for Glory Days Grills.
maybe in 2 Fridays we'll wander over to Glory Days
Sounds good to
Grill,
me.
and
Sounds
we'll,
good.
We'll have a lunch after the show. We'll
Have
make
some
that
chowder.
happen. Okay, John's
I'll
actually
be
coming
there.
to save you. He's actually coming in here to save you.
In that
for
case,
losing.
make it 4.
Yeah, right. He's coming in here to bail you out. And whereas Griffin, we would have made him pay out of his pocket. He's coming in here to bail you out with Glory Days Grill gift
Thank
cards.
you, sir.
Yeah, it was a. I feel it feels cheap to me now. It feels tawdry, if I'm being honest with you.
Then don't go.
Oh,
Then don't go.
yeah,
I'll
you
take
get
the
more-
guys.
You'll take my.
I'll take Micah.
Griffin. All right, let's do Young Yutes for this week. Young Yutes is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Hey, even as online sports betting comes in, I think this is important. the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel is going to integrate the online sports betting experience with what they do at the sportsbook. So I'll give you an example. Next week, you go to the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, maybe on Thanksgiving to watch the games. Maybe you go, next Sunday, whatever it is. You can deposit money into your account at the counter at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel for your online FanDuel account. You can also collect winnings
out there.
You can
directly if you show them on your phone you won
100%. You take your app there, and you can say in the app, "I want to cash out at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland." Walk up to the window and collect your winnings. They are fully integrating the app into the experience at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel.
So I know you do those educational videos with
did a whole
Brian...
series. The previous general manager of the FanDuel Sportsbook.
So let me ask you a question. If I do win, let's say I hit a parlay and I win $10,000.
Yes.
Do they send me a check? Or they put it into my account?
They give you options.
Okay.
For how this works out. You could just walk right out of the casino with $10,000.
But do I have to go in person to get the money?
If you win, so you're talking about if you win on the app, you do not.
I win on the
app.
If
you win on the app, no, you do not have to go in person. If you win in person, you get choices, but you can just cash out. However you deposited your money into your account with FanDuel, you can just cash out the exact same way. So I don't know yet because we haven't seen the app if they're going to let you do it via,
credit
Venmo
card
or credit,
PayPal.
What are the different options? But however it is that you deposited money to begin with, they will let you, take the money out the same way.
It's interesting, all the different,
a lot of layers to this. And as I keep trying to explain to people, just because online sports betting is coming doesn't change the atmosphere of the sportsbook experience.
Yeah.
The sportsbook experience is still, it can't be topped. I mean, I would argue it's better. No offense, on Sunday, Stan's going to be, freezing his what's off, and you could be sitting in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel.
Betting on whether I survive
Exactly
or not.
right. And the odds, by the way, Stan, I got great news for you. The odds are 3-1 that you won't. That's the favorite. But that's
the bad news is I won't be here in 2 weeks.
That's a great point. We won't be able to go to. Why don't you leave those gift cards behind?
I'll just hold on to them. Little insurance policy.
Oh, man, all right. I guess we got to make sure Stan survives on Sunday. The FanDuel Sportsbook will always be the place to go next week for the World Cup. Even before Wednesday, when online sports betting comes into play, the matches that are early on, they are going to have them on the 100-foot media wall, and they serve beer. Unlike in Qatar, they will allow you to consume beer during the World Cup.
Was that a prop leading up to the World Cup?
I don't know if that one was one that you could bet on.
Could you have bet over under on the beer?
I'm not sure. But yes, the best place to be for watching and betting on every sporting event is the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. All right, Micah tells us what's going on in the world of the young. We try to figure out if we think young people are insane.
It's Young Yutes.
It's Young Yutes. That's the way that it works. Micah, where are we going first?
All right, so we're starting a little small. This one kind of bridges some generational gaps, but Meredith Grey, or Ellen Pompeo, has officially announced that she's leaving the show Grey's Anatomy.
Do young people care about that?
Dude, that show...
Young people are still in the Grey's Anatomy?
Everybody my age has seen Grey's Anatomy. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And
this is stunning to me.
I think I watched like 16 seasons and then I gave up.
You watched 16 seasons of Grey's Anatomy?
I'm telling you, a lot of people my age love the show.
And my ex used to make me watch it with her like 2005. That's the last time I think I watched Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, but she said she will be coming back for cameo visits whenever she can.
Thank God. I
How are they going to write her off? Is she going to die and then they'll just
said,
be,
They said her farewell episode will be the new premiere coming out in a couple months. So I guess the season
also, she'll probably get transferred to another hospital.
Premiere.
So like when they got rid of Roseanne on Roseanne, they changed the name of the program. Is it still going to be Grey's Anatomy?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Because isn't it named after like isn't that a real textbook?
It's a real book. That's a textbook on medicine.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
And then
I didn't make it that far in med school.
Yeah.
Look, man, I haven't watched the show in forever. Do you watch Grey's Anatomy?
No,
Stan? Yeah,
I never was a fan.
What's her
of Grey's
face was on that show for? It was Katherine Heigl.
Heigl was on that show.
She was on that show.
I might have watched it once in a while when she was on it.
Yeah, I was a big Katherine
I
Heigl
like
fan.
Heigl.
Yeah, I was.
She's
a big
really
fan.
had a
Oh.
sort of a bad career.
Yeah, it's kind of fallen completely off.
Very hard to work with, supposedly.
Yeah, that was the
Even
word.
Josh doesn't like her.
Oh, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true at all.
kidding.
I enjoyed it. Of course, Knocked Up, I thought was a wonderful. I loved Knocked Up. I thought it was excellent. And then, like, years later, she said it was a miserable experience for her. And I was like, man, the rest of us really enjoyed it. That's a real shame.
What was a movie she did?
That
I
sucks
loved her
for you.
in that movie with Gerard Depardieu. Played her father.
Oh, God. Hang
God.
on a second. I remember the movie you're talking about. Katherine Heigl, Gerard Depardieu was called My Father the Hero? No.
That's
Was
what
that
I
it?
think
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
what it
My
was,
Father
yes.
the Hero. Yeah.
That was going back a little ways. Yeah.
It's gone probably 25 years.
Yeah, about. No doubt.
She was about 14 then, I think.
Yep.
16.
Yes, next.
Yeah. So the next one, I'm sure everyone's heard about it, but Taylor Swift released tickets for her upcoming tour, and it's really just been a whole week-long snafu.
Did
if
she
you
do
will.
that in conjunction with Elon Musk? Was it a promotion for Twitter?
I don't know.
I don't
think
know. So. I
But
don't think so.
People I know were waiting in over 6-hour queues for tickets. Over 2 million tickets were sold in the first 24 hours. Anywhere from nosebleeds, like obstructed view seats, being $50 to the best seats for $22,000.
Well, yeah, now they're all available in the secondhand market for about $50,000.
And it eventually crashed sales on Ticketmaster, and they had to make an announcement that they couldn't handle any more transactions because they were completely out of tickets.
The public on-sale date for the concerts was today.
Yeah.
Right.
There is no public on-sale.
Yeah,
for
they
Taylor
ran out
Swift.
of tickets.
How did they open up a pre-sale?
Yeah,
Did
they
it leaked out where you could buy the tickets? Or
Well, there was like a queue, and people were in the queue. Like, I don't think they expected 2 million people to wait for hours for tickets, but
there
they
were.
Did. She's got some fans.
But how did the queue get opened?
They had
they
a
you mean you
pre-sale.
were in the queue? Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
So I'm trying to pull up to see because she's not coming to Baltimore or D.C. The closest she's coming is Philadelphia.
Ridiculous.
That's kind of weird.
What? You're very worked up about that, Griffin.
She should be at Camden
I mean,
Yards.
I was never going to
That would've
go.
been-
Ridiculous.
Well, she's only playing NFL stadiums. She's only playing football stadiums on this tour. She's not playing any baseball. They're all NFL stadiums. And for some
Is this
reason,
a deal? She's the official entertainer of the NFL?
I guess. I don't know. The cheapest tickets available for Taylor Swift in Philadelphia are how much? In section, right now, you get seats in section 229, which, by the way, the side of the state, upper deck in Philadelphia.
This is the football stadium.
This is the football stadium. Here, I'm not going to, I don't want to show you the.
$12.50.
Hang on.
So you get to
Hang
see
on.
like
This
the
is
side
this is
of her.
this is
from-
the seat that you see that green dot right there.
Yeah.
This one.
That one.
green dot.
That-
There's the stage.
Oh, so you're
Right.
behind
So
her.
it's you're basically behind the side or behind the
Right,
stage
right.
in the upper deck.
Okay.
Cheapest tickets to get in.
$1,200.
Not quite. They're $800.
$800.
$800. The
800
cheapest
to see
get in
the back of a
to
spec
not
of
be
Taylor
able to see
Swift.
Taylor
Yeah.
Swift at the Taylor Swift concert right now.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw somebody-
crazy.
Is Pompeo, the actress, is she going to be there?
She's opening, I think. I think they're touring.
She got
together.
killed at a Taylor Swift
That's
concert.
the story that they're
That's
going
the
with Grey's
storyline.
Anatomy.
Just to put it into perspective, someone I know, like a family friend, has 3 tickets for 3 concerts back-to-back nights. So she's imagine the money in the queue
That's
and
wrong.
all the
Oh.
waiting to see the
Is
same
she-
exact
is
concert
she single,
3 nights in a
Micah?
row.
I would go after her.
Yes. That. By the way, Phoebe Bridgers is opening for Taylor Swift, who I like. I do
love
like. I
Phoebe
do like Phoebe
Bridgers.
Bridgers.
I didn't
and-
know that.
And Gail, who
Maybe
I
I
also
will
I
go.
can't. I sang along that ABCDEFU song. That song is really good, man.
Oh, is
That's
that who wrote that?
Yeah, that song is a jam.
That song's fire.
Mom and your sister and your
It's a
dog.
good chorus.
Yeah, I like that song a lot.
All right, and lastly, Stan hinted at it. We have the imminent demise of Twitter, pretty much on the horizon.
Very sad. Very sad.
Elon sent out an ultimatum that left employees with the decision of either being extremely hardcore, which is what it
What
takes.
does that even mean? By
to,
the way, I saw that go. Like,
yeah.
what does that mean? That
You need to
if
be
you're gonna stick around
hardcore.
at Twitter, you have to be more hardcore.
to be like a marketing intern, just like sitting at Twitter,
Like-
so you can either be extremely hardcore or leave.
Does that mean you brave the elements at a Ravens game on Sunday? Does that
I guess
qualify you
so.
as hardcore
You
enough
have to sit
work
in
at Twitter?
Buffalo's stadium.
I guess during the blizzard.
Yeah. So obviously that caused a ton of employees to leave because they just weren't hardcore enough.
Like
Elon,
we're good. You can keep your hardcore.
Yeah. I guess I'm not hardcore enough. Elon has also been banning users who impersonate him, doing the payment for a blue check thing. And he also fired over half of the company's 7,500 employees in one day.
Our friend, the NFL chick Rita, got suspended last night because she made a joke. She made a joke about the guy that sold Twitter, the Jack guy.
Right.
She made a joke about him, and apparently that was enough for them to find her and suspend her last night.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's like
they suspended her on Twitter?
Yes.
So is she done? Like, does
no,
she,
she's back. She's back. She got thrown in Twitter jail for a day. They had to take the tweet down, and like you're not allowed to make fun of anybody.
It's a platform for free
you're,
speech unless you make fun of Elon.
Anyone
in
who's
which
involved
case
with
he will
Twitter.
promptly ban.
Correct, and then you're gone. Exactly right. But I'm glad I don't know if you heard it. Comedy's back.
Yeah.
Comedy's now allowed on Twitter, so we got that going for us.
I have two quotes I saw.
And he got that hilarious sync joke in, so
true.
just killing it, Elon Musk.
This was a quote from an employee who left the company, and I just thought it was crazy here. She said, "My boss was laid off, and my boss's boss. The head of the department quit, so I didn't know who my boss was or what any of my assignments were. Just everyone in the whole chain of command was
when it's
just
going
gone.
well. When it's going well.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a company he's got going there.
It's crazy.
Just doing a tremendous bang-up job.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, Elon Musk is not funny at all. Like, he's
Yeah.
never said anything. The closest thing he's ever said to funny was the line last night about how do you make a small fortune on social media? Start with a large fortune. That's
Yeah.
the closest thing he's ever said to something that was funny, because he is
But
painfully
it's
unfunny.
but it's a stolen joke.
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, of course it is. But that's how unfunny he is. The only thing he could say that's funny is something that he had to steal.
Yeah, I heard someone talking about it on a podcast, and they said, like, it's kind of hilarious that he's like the richest man in the world, just bought this social media platform, and like you can like hurt his feelings by like tweeting something mean about him, and like there's a chance he'll actually see it and like have his feelings hurt.
There is a real problem with this, though, which is that we're not prepared for the death of Twitter. Like, we're not.
No.
So many of us do so much content now on Twitter or specific to Twitter. We're not prepared for where, like...
I am. I signed up weeks ago for Truth Social.
You're good. Oh, you
Yeah.
got it.
I'm
That's
cool.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Plus,
I get
you
a lot of interesting baseball tidbits.
Is that where you get all that stuff? Plus,
I hear that's what it's for.
I heard that you're going to go help Carrie Lake out in Arizona as well with her crusade.
love her. Love
Make
her.
sure that she gets over the top. Yeah, we're not, like, everybody keeps saying, well, I signed up for Mastodon. I'm like, yeah, most of us haven't.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried it's like not looking good for social media in the next few years.
So the word is
TikTok's on the verge of being banned or something.
Well,
or, like,
they've been
taken
trying to
down.
ban
Yeah.
TikTok for some time, yes.
Twitter could be going
Facebook
down.
apparently is doing a weird bit. I don't know if you guys have seen this on your Facebook pages, where they're letting you know that some of your personal information is going to disappear. You're no longer going to like be able to say if you're like single or in a like they're taking like personal information off the page, which makes no sense.
That's a
'cause
random update
You
to do.
always had the option of not displaying your
displaying
personal
that.
information. So why do they feel the need to take it away entirely? Doesn't that just help make it easier for more bots to exist with less personal information?
I think Facebook was on its way down too.
Well, it was
And,
definitely
like,
on its
yeah,
way down. This was the thing that maybe could save them, and now they're like, we want to. Maybe we're just realizing everybody's purposely trying to burn down all social media, so there is no social media.
I think they were like the last company in the S&P 500 or something. Like they dropped a ton, like Facebook or Meta did in value. And
Who's the last person to lose
On the way
$44 billion?
In like less than
like
3
a
weeks.
month, yeah.
Great question, Stan. I'm trying to think about. Well,
No one
this
ever.
this dude from FTX.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know how much he had, but I think it was like.
But he still may have it.
Did you see all the people
He
who
still may.
maybe
They don't know where the money
That's
is.
true. They don't know where he is.
Did you see
right.
all the people who lost all their like signing bonuses because they asked for them in
in crypto? Yeah, 100%.
A lot of the sports deals to get them to be endorsers, or influencers.
So
were
yeah,
paid for with
they
crypto.
had the naming rights to the arena in Miami, correct? And like,
oh, there's a bidding war down there.
well, I mean, you would think, but like,
For-
I don't know if they ever got their money or not, right? Like, or did they get it in crypto and now essentially they got nothing?
The greatest irony is that after all this, Larry David may be
Yeah,
correct
that,
in the
the
commercial.
from the Super Bowl, where it's,
I
right,
don't think
100%.
so.
You know, it's funny. Not that I would ever illegally bet, because I definitely wouldn't do that. But hypothetically, if someone had to illegally bet, some of the sites were forcing you to pay in crypto. And maybe you might know someone named Schmlark whose only interaction with crypto was trying to figure out how to purchase crypto so I could use it to make it. So Schlen could use it to make a deposit on a certain website in order to do betting, and it was far too complicated for old Schlen.
Yeah.
Schlen just
Poor
said,
Schwen.
I'm gonna
Has he passed away now?
He's no longer with us. Very sad. Very sad.
Kind of like Tuttle on MASH.
Yes, a lot like Tuttle on MASH. By the way, do we know if Squee is still with us? Did anybody ever check in to find out if Squee was still here? He loved beer. Well done, Micah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Got
that.
some bad news.
Oh.
Bad news. There's a story on MLBTradeRumors.com about the Marlins trading pitchers, and it sounds like they're not trading Jesus Luzardo. Sounds like the Orioles would have to accept Trevor Rogers, a left-hander. Trevor Rogers. He's had a mixed bag in 3 seasons.
I'm not going to say no, but he's certainly not a priority for
He was 7-8 in 2021 with an ERA of 2.64 in 130.
That's really good.
In 133 innings, he gave up 107 hits, 46 walks, 157 strikeouts. His WHIP was 115. His ERA, as I said, was 2.64. He came back in 22, and I think he was hurt for part of the season. He was 4-11 with a 5.47 ERA in 107 innings. He struck out 106 batters, gave up 15 home runs, WHIP of 150. I'd have to know more about the
injury in order to have a thought about that. I'm with you. All right. Today's show is also brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, of course. If you're headed to the game on Sunday, stop by the Game Day Firehouse, and you can sample the cooking from the Ginsu Kamado Grill, as well as you can register to win your own and $500 worth of grilling meats. Game Day Firehouse, 1202 Ridgely Street, just west of the stadium at the Firefighters Union Hall. Stop by before the game Sunday. We'll come back in. Tidbit, Tubular, and segment number 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show. That's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio. The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The weather outside is really unpleasant, so it's time to warm up with some comfort classics this winter at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Try the Twisted Ribs and Wings combo. It's 2 full pounds of meat, the mac and cheese bites, Mr. Richards meatloaf, the citrus salmon, the winter spinach salad, and for dessert, here's internet radio personality Griffin Bass to tell you about the bourbon butter cake.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Pair it with a blood orange bourbon cider or a devil's backbone cranberry smash. Place your order now at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Looking for a simple holiday meal? Try Chick-fil-A Catering. From Chick-fil-A nuggets to mac and cheese, enjoy a variety of tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app and bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details.
Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show too.
If you haven't picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, I encourage you to get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com.
Going fast.
Yeah, really. All right, so do it in a hurry. Get over out and pick them up. Stan's been trying to. Do we have any more reserves that we can?
Some more going
all
out.
Right, all right. Get out.
It's kind of like crypto.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Well, but this has more. This has more value than crypto at this point. Go out and pick it up. Kevin Willard's on the cover. We had a great sit-down, Stan and I did, with the new head basketball coach at the University of Maryland.
I have to say, I've kicked Turgeon's butt several times.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure to watch a guy who is extremely confident in just his whole demeanor and watch the team appear to be more. I know they're playing competition, Binghamton, but the team appears to be much more confident.
This weekend they step up. I'll tell you more about that in a second when we get to Totally Tubular. Big step up in competition for Maryland basketball this weekend. Let's get to Tidbit. Again, you can still go get that right now, or if you can't find it, read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Tidbit is brought to you today by PressBoxOnline.com/offers, 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 PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
What are you saying?
Well, we need people to get signed up before online sports betting officially launches on Wednesday, or you're going to miss out on some great pre-registration deals. Offers, yes. Yeah. $300 worth of incentives are available to you and more right now at PressBoxOnline.com/offers for you to go register for online sports betting here in the state of Maryland. You got to make your move very quickly or else you will miss out. Griffin, what you got?
All right, so Sandy Alcantara. Do you know what it is, Stan?
Yeah.
Which one?
I'm sorry?
Is it Alcantara or Alcantara?
Alcantara.
Oh, okay. All right, well, after he won the NL Cy Young, now 14% of all NL pitchers to win the Cy Young have been named Sandy or Randy.
What percentage?
14%. There's like 67, I think.
Sandy Koufax,
and Randy Johnson. Yep.
They both won it multiple times. Sandy,
Yeah,
Sandy Alcantara, and then Randy Jones also won it
Randy
once.
Jones won.
No, that Randy Jones was a Cy Young winner. I had no idea.
Randy Jones has had at the old ballpark. I don't know if it's at Petco. I would think it would be. He's like the Boog Pal of San Diego.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
cool.
Barbecue beef place.
That's cool.
And then also Christian Watson now has 5 touchdowns in the last 5 days, which is more than DJ Moore has in any season in his career.
It's nuts.
I'm
so glad I went out for Kadarius Toney instead of Christian Watson this week. Really.
I mean, it could still work.
Yeah,
out.
with Mecole Hardman sidelined, I'm hoping that there's a lot more Kadarius Toney coming.
Aaron Judge won the AL MVP yesterday. Came up 2 votes shy of unanimous, I believe. So that got me thinking about, who has won unanimous. There have been 18 players to be unanimously
Lamar
named.
Jackson.
Yeah, I guess, yes. Yeah.
I mean, he was named the unanimous MVP.
How about in baseball, though?
Oh,
how many of the? I mean, you
how
should
about
be able to
Ricky
get
Henderson?
Yes, Ricky. Wait. No, Ricky
Please
Henderson.
don't answer me yes when it's no.
I know. I apologize. Not Ricky Henderson.
Didn't Ohtani get unanimous MVP?
Correct. Otani last
Did
year.
Cal
Most
Ripken
recently.
was Cal Ripken the unanimous back in?
He is not, but there is an Oriole that was a unanimous MVP.
Frank Robinson.
Frank Robinson in 1966.
Yep. How many are there?
There's 18. I think you guys should be able to get up.
There's 18?
Yeah.
Different players?
Yeah.
Jesus. Barry Bonds. We're just going to start naming people. Barry Bonds.
Yes, Barry Bonds, 2002.
Roger Clemens.
Not Clemens.
Albert Pujols.
Yes. 2009, Albert Pujols.
A-Rod.
No, not A-Rod.
I'm just guessing, bro. I don't know. I'm just guessing names.
We can. Let's see. There's.
Stop. We can keep guessing names.
There's a lot of names I recognize.
Reggie Jackson.
So that's a good.
Yes, Reggie Jackson.
There you go.
1973.
Wait a minute. Hold on. It was yes, and it's a double check.
Yes, it's a yes, and it's actually
1973, Reggie Jackson.
When he says yes the first time, he's just acknowledging that he heard you say something. And like,
That's what
yes,
he's
just
Reggie
acknowledging.
And there's how about Justin Verlander?
Not Verlander.
How about Willie Hernandez?
Not Willie Hernandez.
How about Ted Williams?
Not Ted Williams.
How about Mickey Mantle?
There you go, 1956. Mickey Mantle.
How about Ernie Banks?
Not Ernie Banks.
How about Hank Aaron?
Not Hank Aaron.
That seems surprising.
How about Dale Murphy?
Not Dale Murphy.
Willie Mays?
Not Willie Mays.
What the hell is going on, man? Who else is getting votes?
It's hard to be a unanimous MVP.
Think of some more recent ones. There's a couple recent ones.
Miguel Cabrera when he won the Triple Crown.
Not Miguel Cabrera. Who?
Winning the Triple Crown didn't make you an unanimous MVP?
Yeah, I guess who?
Carly
Mike Trout was-
Yastrzemski?
Not Yastrzemski.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout in 2014. Mike Trout. One more this millennium that you're missing.
One more this millennium.
Yeah.
And it's one I recognize.
Okay, good. Ichiro.
Not Ichiro.
How recent?
The past 7 years.
Past 7 years.
7 years. Past 7 years.
Mookie Betts.
Not Mookie Betts.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper in 2015.
Very
Bryce
good.
Harper,
Very
unanimous
good.
MVP.
All right, and everything else was before 2000.
Correct. Let's see,
Frank Thomas.
Yep, Frank Thomas, 93 with the
Very
White Sox.
good, Glenn.
I'm just guessing MVP, Stan. That's all I'm doing. I don't have any idea. Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah, Jeff Bagwell, 1994.
Those are good guesses, though.
They were Chipper Jones.
Not Chipper Jones.
Sammy.
That's a terrible
Yeah,
guess.
what a wretched guess that was. Sammy Sosa.
Not Sosa.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, Ken Griffey, 97. One more guy in the 90s, two guys from the 80s. And then I'll give you the rest.
One more guy from the 90s, two guys from the 80s.
One more guy in the 90s.
90s. Who else was an MVP in the 90s?
Derek Jeter.
Not Derek.
Number 2.
Jeter, number 2.
Juan Gonzalez.
Not Juan Gonzalez. National League guy.
National League guy.
During the
You've got Pujols already.
National League guy.
How about Gary Carter?
not Gary Carter.
Andre Dawson.
Not Andre Dawson.
That's a good guess.
All right.
Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt in the 1980, yes. Mike Schmidt.
Good one. All right, who was the other guy in the 90s?
Ken Caminiti.
Never would have gotten
Yeah,
Ken
right.
Caminiti. Is
I mean,
there
I-
one more in the
I do.
2000s?
One more in the 80s. One more in,
In
the,
the
late
80s.
80s. It was out in the West Coast.
Late 80s.
Kirk Gibson?
Not Kirk Gibson. Let's see. He was
American League or National League?
American League.
American.
And I know his name.
Jose Canseco.
Jose Canseco. Jose Canseco.
Good job.
Then also
Yeah.
Orlando Cepeda in 1967.
Right.
Denny McLain in 1968.
That's the year he won 30 games.
As well as Hank Greenberg, Carl Hubble, and Al Rosen.
I actually had a bunch of these. Like Sarah Langs this week on Twitter has been killing it with little tidbits related to the
the awards.
Like unbelievable little tidbits. So I had a few in the chamber, but that one went for so long that I don't know that we should really. There are only so Justin Verlander has now won 5 Baseball Writers Awards because he had also the Rookie of the Year and the MVP along with his
Right.
now 3 Cy Young. Only 3 other players have won 5 or more Baseball Writers Awards in their career. Do you want to venture a guess?
I'm just going to guess Palmer.
Not Palmer. no.
Okay. Well, based on this, Willie Mays wouldn't be
No,
one.
not Willie Mays.
Sandy Koufax.
Not Sandy Koufax. There are 2 pitchers, 1 position player.
Mike Trout.
Not Mike Trout.
Bob Gibson.
No, not Bob Gibson.
Pujols.
More, you got to think more modern. Not Pujols, but definitely these are all modern. These are all modern players.
Clemens?
Clemens is the most.
Mickey.
Clemens 8. Not Cabrera. No. It's a pretty obvious one. It's a guy that's basically all MVPs.
A-Rod. Did we
No.
already say him? Yeah.
No, Barry Bonds.
Oh.
Barry Bonds with 7. And then the other pitcher is Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson. Because, again, they're all Sandys and Randys.
I heard an amazing stat the other day. It has nothing to do with awards, but my cousin Ron said, look at this tweet. It's Bob Gibson has more complete games in his career than he does wins. He had 251.
Bonkers. That's just bonkers.
He had 251 wins, 255 complete games.
Jesus Christ, that's bonkers.
Yeah,
that's bonkers.
That is crazy.
Do you know who the oldest MVP of all? Because Paul Goldschmidt is the
35 years old.
Yes,
right?
and
The
he is the
oldest MVP.
9th oldest MVP of all time. Any idea who the oldest?
The ninth.
The
old-
9th
oh,
oldest.
You mean Goldschmidt's the
ninth oldest MVP of all time?
Man. Oldest would be
Ted Williams?
No.
What?
Yogi Berra.
You guys are really struggling with this.
Yeah.
It's Barry Bonds.
Oh.
Barry Bonds, at the age of 40, the oldest MVP in baseball history. Willie Stargell, the second oldest, at 39. Actually, 3 of the 4 oldest are all Barry Bonds, for the record. And then Dennis Eckersley at 38 would be 5th to round out the top 5. Yeah, Sarah Langs was killing it this week with these tidbits. I really enjoyed her. I mean, Sarah's great. Like, tremendous account. Also, now fighting cancer, so continue to think about Sarah Langs as well, who's awesome. All right, Tubular is brought to you by your Baltimore area Chick-fil-A restaurants. It is that time of year. Maybe you guys are getting together for like Christmas decorating or cookie baking or something like that. If you're looking for a simple holiday meal, try Chick-fil-A catering. From Chick-fil-A nuggets to mac and cheese, enjoy a variety of tray options sized perfectly for your get-together. Order through the Chick-fil-A app. Bring smiles to your family gathering. Availability and order requirements vary. See restaurant for details. Here's what's coming up this weekend. A lot going on. This afternoon, UMBC's at home against Lafayette at 3 o'clock. So if you got nothing going on this afternoon, stop over there and check out the Retrievers. Again, UMBCRetrievers.com to get your tickets.
Is Gary Stein broadcasting?
He will
that
indeed
game?
be on the broadcast on ESPN3. You can check that out. I thought it was cool that they took his broadcast and put it on Masson for the Princeton game. I did like that. Also, Maryland plays in the NCAA Field Hockey Final Four, so they're going to try to win a national championship this weekend. They play Northwestern today at 3 on ESPN+. Navy's at home tonight as well at 7 against UC San Diego on ESPN+. Morgan plays down in Jamaica at 7 against Utah Valley. Tomorrow, Navy-UCF football, 11 a.m. on ESPN2. Of course, Ohio State-Maryland football at 3:30 on ABC. Stop by, see us beforehand with your non-perishables. Towson wraps up the season at home against Hampton, 1 o'clock. Morgan wraps up the season at home against Howard at noon on ESPN3. A really cool bowl game. Stevenson and Johns Hopkins are playing a bowl game in the Centennial Mac Bowl Series at noon tomorrow. It's at Johns Hopkins at Homewood Field.
So Stevenson's regular season is over.
It's over. This is a bowl game that they play. Johns Hopkins and Stevenson playing against each other tomorrow at noon.
That'll be a terrific game.
It's a very neat. I think Hopkins has a bit of an edge there, but it's a very neat thing.
Stevenson's
for it to work
out for
that way.
revenge.
That's true. That's right.
They've
Micah,
lost the only 2 meetings in
Micah
history
knows
with
this.
Hopkins.
Micah did our Stevenson scoreboard this week, so he's been studying up. Maryland does take a step up in competition on the basketball side. They take on St. Louis tomorrow at 1 on ESPN News is how you find that game in the Hall of Fame event up in Uncasville, Connecticut, which Dan isn't wrong is kind of a gross. It's not as bad as Skaggsville, but it ain't great. I don't care for Uncasville. They'll play again on Sunday. That will be to be determined. Fox for Panthers Ravens at 1 o'clock. Don't forget it's on Fox, not on CBS this week. It's Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez who are doing the game on Sunday for Fox. The other local TV games on Sunday, CBS Eagles Colts at 1, Bengals Steelers at 4:25. NBC has Chiefs Chargers at 8:15. I think just about everything else. Oh, the first World Cup match is Sunday at 11 a.m. as Qatar. No beer, but the good guys in all of this. Qatar takes on.
We can watch the game from our homes,
or
at the live casino,
the FanDuel Sportsbook, or
and have a beer.
I'm guessing they'll probably show it at the Game Day Firehouse on Sunday when you stop by beforehand.
So you could toast the fans
100 that are not able to toast you back. Exactly right. Qatar and Ecuador playing the first game at 11 a.m.
Who's more uncomfortable, me and my cousin Stuart on Sunday,
or the people in Qatar that can't drink?
I
think that is the answer, Stan. I think you're right. Everything else, and it's a busy weekend. Go to glennclarkradio.com. Non-sports, any highlights?
On Saturday night will be the 37th annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony on HBO.
So it already happened. They're just airing it.
Oh, they're airing
it? Yeah,
okay.
It did happen. And there's only been a few videos that have come out from it that I've seen. They did an all-star, like they normally do a big jam at the end of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. They did it for Jolene because Dolly Parton went in. And like Brandi Carlile was part of it, and Zach Brown Band was part of it. The video that came out, first, Jolene's an amazing song. I mean, it's
great.
It's an incredible song. Dolly Parton is. There was a moment when we were driving around in Wisconsin where 9 to 5 came on the radio, and Mrs. Clark didn't know what it was, and I really was exploring irreconcilable differences. I mean, Dolly Parton is
her famous Christmas song is great, and she wrote the song.
Which
Candy
yeah, exactly right. I also like she and Kenny Rogers did "You Make This a Christmas to Remember." I don't know why we didn't force her and Kenny Rogers to like just keep making
married.
music. And yes, exactly right. Like I feel like that would have bettered the entire country if that had been the case. Love Dolly Parton, and yes, I do look forward to seeing
love Dolly Parton.
Oh my God,
Didn't
she's
she,
amazing.
She just received.
Yeah,
this
I was about
award,
to say
100
2 days ago, Jeff Bezos
how many
gave
$1 million
her
was it?
$100 million.
For what?
For humanitarian.
Because
well, she's
and
you know, I didn't know these stories. These have started to come out. Where like Dolly Parton goes to like HBCU marching bands and funds them, and nobody talks like it's.
This says the main thing for this award was in 2020 she donated $1 million to Vanderbilt's coronavirus research, and then they
that's right. Yeah. Yeah,
got
she was
the
very involved with
vaccine.
the creation of the vaccine.
We're
for
thinking
sure.
of talking to Jeff Bezos to try and win, or actually to Dolly Parton to get some type of grant,
a charitable
from her.
donation.
It's. I think it might be our turn. I think that's the case. Love Dolly Parton. Love it. And that's
we
not
get-
just
if we get
right.
it,
If not, we're gonna
get you some, toothpaste.
I love this.
Shaving cream.
I love this for
you
the
know,
folks at Helping Up Mission.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
We're working on it.
Thank you, Stan. Anything else?
Yeah, so Disenchanted, the movie coming out on Disney
This
Plus.
is the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds.
No. That's Spirited.
Spirited,
Yeah,
okay.
that's Spirited on Apple TV Plus, which is the Christmas Carol
Yeah.
modern take. Disenchanted is the Enchanted sequel with Amy Adams and
That one's
and
not going
Pat
to be for
Dempsey.
me, though.
I liked Enchanted a lot
Okay.
when I was a kid,
Okay.
so I'm kind of excited.
That movie
about
was
it.
sick.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
The People We Hated at the Wedding. It's a movie on Amazon
with
Prime.
what's her face?
Allison
With,
Janney.
No, and the girl
Kristen Bell.
Thank
Yeah,
you. That's
Kristen
what I was
Bell,
thinking
Allison Janney.
Kristen
so
Bell,
that-
who perpetually looks like she's 26. Like it's just unbelievable.
yeah.
My God.
The Great British Baking Show Holidays edition
Sure.
on Netflix.
Okay.
And that is it. Nope is coming to streaming. It's going to be on Peacock this
All right,
weekend.
very good. I've not seen Nope yet, so I'll look forward
There
to
you
it.
It's really good.
By the way, terrific Netflix film that just got released, Where the Crawdads Sing.
So
I just watched
my
it.
mother-in-law was raving about it.
Very good.
Okay.
I
All
saw
right.
it in
Famous
theaters
book.
over the summer.
Another one, Stutz, a new Jonah Hill documentary.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
we were
so
talking
good.
about that the other
So
day.
good.
We were
Is
talking
that's a
about it.
documentary?
Yeah.
So what's the picture of Jonah Hill in the promo for it?
It's-
he looks like
Well,
he's
it's like
made
it's
up to be a
about his
character
relationship with
his
his
psychiatrist.
therapist,
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. I am going to spend time with God Forbid this weekend. Finally, I will
Okay.
finally get into that one about the Falwell.
Good luck.
The scandal. I will finally
The what
spend some time.
scandal?
The Jerry Falwell scandal,
Oh.
where they were having sex with the pool boy or whatever, and trying to be good Christian leaders and telling us about how Donald Trump was the. Anyway, moral of the story
Wild.
being, I'm going to spend some time with that. Stan the Fan. You will be on with the guys tomorrow morning on the Bat Around, of course.
Yep. Monday we'll be on with Paul and
Zach.
and Zach.
Yep. Tomorrow,
Zach's
10 to
on-
noon. The
Zach,
Bat Around.
Yeah, Zach.
Zach Goodman.
Zach Goodman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've got so many Zachs in my life right now.
All good. Mike
be on
Bordick.
with them tomorrow. Mike Bordick Monday, and we're working on getting an old friend of ours. Got to get him up to speed on technology to make sure we can pull it off. Tom Strickler, a noted basketball recruiting guy.
Okay.
He used to be part of my basketball shows like 25, 30 years ago. Called him up and I said, could you talk about these 3 players that Maryland just signed.
Yep.
And he said he could, and then it's been a disaster.
All right. Well,
he might be on.
All right, we'll see how that goes.
We'll promote it.
At Stan the Fan, if Twitter is still around by the time you listen to this. That's how you can follow him. Appreciate you, sir. We'll look forward to a lunch in a couple of weeks. Thank you for making bad predictions. Thank you for that.
Cannot wait.
Like Micah weaseling his way.
Eat something the day before, Micah.
All right. Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, the Costas Inn, the Baltimore area Chick-fil-A restaurants, Guilford Hall Brewery, Great Eights Memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, UMBC Athletics, and your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com, where the Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines so you can get the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer
Is it
today.
also brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com?
PressBoxOnline.com/offers. PressBoxOnline.com/offers. All right. Make sure you join the boys in the morning for the Bat Around. They'll be talking baseball 10 to noon. We'll be back on Monday. I'll be with you at halftime on Sunday for the Project Game Day halftime show and then post-game over on 105.7 The Fan. Follow Micah on Instagram at Micah.Ernest. Follow Griffin on Twitter at Griffin_Bass. We're Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Oh, I didn't thank Stevie Daniels and Bruce Feldman. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Have a great weekend. Go all the local teams. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. We wrap up today's show with segment number 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show with special guest Calais Campbell from earlier this week. Have a great weekend.
Segment number 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show. We are at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Rita and Glenn, Tyus and Calais Campbell. All right, so I know now that I, for the rest of my life, have to hate slit film turf. And I promise you, I hate slit film turf. Death to slit film turf.
You didn't even know what it was yesterday.
What is slit film turf?
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's like 3 different types of turf that you have out there. All of them, we prefer grass over turf. I don't care, most players always want grass over turf. But over the last 10 years, there's a bunch of data being collected. And really, if you look at the data prior to the last 2 years, there was a big distinction between all turf and all grass. But then in the last couple of years, injuries on grass have went up. So on 2 of the turfs, it's pretty much close to the same. You can't really see a big difference. But on slit film turf, you see a huge difference. And so the NFL acknowledged that the slit film turf should be removed, but they didn't want to mandate it to the teams. Which I guess is business. You don't want to tell other business people that your business partners, you have to do something. So they said, we'll leave it up to them. But
I feel like if it's about protecting players, maybe we should be able to say you have to do this.
Yeah, and that's the NFLPA standpoint. We're like, we're partners in this business as well. We're your partners as well, and we want to be protected. So we're demanding that you change and get rid of all the slit film turf that you acknowledge is very, very bad for us.
It doesn't feel like that's that hard. What am I missing here?
Nothing at all.
Before we did a media blitz too, we went through a lot of questions. We asked how long does it take to replace it? Is there enough different types of turf to replace it that could be done immediately? And so they went through and did met with the partners that we use for other types of turf, and they have it in stock right now, ready to go. It can be changed in a few days, which to me is mind-blowing that it hasn't been done already.
Let's get it done, man. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And every time we played in New York this year, you say an extra prayer before you go on the field because that turf, I forgot what the exact percentage is, but it's 20% more likely to get a non-contact injury. You go to New Orleans and it's after we got the information, I'm like, we're going to play New Orleans the next week. And I'm like, this is killing me, but it is what it is. You got to play. So, pray that, we'll be safe. And then now we have the game at the end of the year against the Bengals, and hopefully it'll be changed by the time we play against them, but we'll see.
Man.
So basically you like playing at home.
Oh, yeah. That's the best place. Well, because the fans get to be there, that always makes it just that much more special.
Well, we're everywhere. You know that, right? The flock will travel for you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah, that's right.
We can make an away game a home game real quick, but I understand that playing in that type of surface is definitely something that is beneficial to you guys. And I also saw you, Tyus, say thank you, Ravens, in regards to the turf as well, because an article came up about one of the NFL, the league directors or something was saying something about the turf, and it appeared to be very happy with your home team using real grass.
I really was, because I feel like we invest so much in our players, and they understand that we are what helps this team thrive. We are what helps this team make money. So why not take care of the guys that's helping us do that? And for them and how well they stay on top of the grass, where we'll have 2 games, back to back or whatever it is, and then we'll have a away game, but then you come back that following week at home and you see a whole new, field of grass, and it's like, man, they actually care, to make sure that we're safe out there. So that's why I say thank you, because guys like me take notice of that, especially with my injury and what I go through, and know how that affects me on the field. So for them to go and do that, that's why I say thank you, Ravens, because they actually care. And I hope, other teams are able to see that and make those efforts, like you said, to change and do what's right for their players that's helping this league make money, to keep them safe and keep the superstars, keep the role players, everyone safe on the field.
Seems that simple. It seems that simple,
but
for whatever reason,
man,
it's not the case.
Crazy, man.
By the way, today's show also brought to you by the Ginsu Kamado Grill. Again, ginsugrills.com. Use the code TAILGATE. You'll save $100 on your order. You guys get to see an old friend, or an old foe, I guess, on Sunday. Tyus, you've had some good memories against Baker Mayfield. You had one of your more remarkable interceptions.
I did.
Against Baker Mayfield. I think maybe we can make that like 2 on
I'm sure we can. If he decide to throw the ball my way, I'll definitely go and catch it.
Tell me about Baker. Tell me about, he's a guy who's been maligned, obviously, but you guys have had some good battles over the years.
Yeah, man. I mean, I respect this guy. Played against him in college. And just to see what he's been doing to this point, man, you got to respect this guy, regardless of what people think of him, how he's been playing. This guy's professional. He's a #1 draft pick. He's a Heisman winner. He's proven himself, and you got to respect that at the end of the day, and that's what I do with anyone that I'm on the field with. So to be able to match up with this guy again, I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to just being back on the field with my guys and going out here trying to get a win for us.
One of the things that I remember when you had Marlon on, remember we talked about a player that the trajectory was different than what we thought. And Baker was his guy. Baker was a guy that he really thought. He even said at one point, like, I really thought that the Ravens was going to try to get him. I wanted him to be a Raven. He really loved Baker Mayfield, which is very interesting, to say the least. But he was very high on Baker. So, Calais, do you feel the same way? Obviously, he had dealt with an injury after the trade, and we saw P.J. Walker, who now is dealing with his own injury. So I personally feel like Baker has a slight vendetta, #1, because he kind of got demoted, and #2, because this is now his old rival.
And it could be his last chance.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I say, I respect him, always have. Anytime I played against him, he put up 42 points against us one time, or whatever this. He put up over 40 on us on our defense, so I think it's pretty good.
Monday night? Are we talking Monday night?
Yeah, I can't remember what game it was, but just knowing that that he's able to put up the kind of points, so at any given time, he can go off. Consistently he hasn't, just been where everybody thought he was gonna be, but he's had moments of brilliance, and this is NFL, and after being demoted and having to stay on the bench for a little bit, and then get another opportunity, that does something to guys. Depending on who you are, what kind of dog you got inside of you. If if I got demoted, I'm gonna come back when I get my next opportunity. I'm gonna give it everything I have. I'm gonna leave everything on the field, pour my heart out. And so, I expect his best. I expect him to come out and give it his best shot, and we're gonna have to beat him because we know when he's at his best, he's a tough challenger.
No doubt. All right, last thing this week. This is our last show before Thanksgiving. So the one thing, like everything else goes away, the one thing you've got to have on Thanksgiving, the one thing you got to be able to eat, and I know you guys have to work, I know it's a little bit different, but the one thing you got to be able to eat Thanksgiving weekend is Calais?
Yeah, see, it's not traditional Thanksgiving food, but my mom makes this. It's like a family recipe. It's called the icebox pie. It's like a banana cream cookie pie, but it's just it's amazing. And you know, I'm pretty strict with my calories. I don't eat too bad most of the time. I have like little cheat meals and stuff like that, but for Thanksgiving, I got to make sure I load up on.
Your mom wouldn't want to come out in 2 weeks for the next Tyus Bowser show, would you?
And also, can you please send me your meal plan so I can lose a couple pounds? Thank you very much.
Tyus, one thing. That's it.
I'm a big dressing guy, so if I can find some good dressing, I'll be good.
Got one for you. My girlfriend over there, she makes some good cornbread dressing. I told her to make me some for Thanksgiving, so she better make me some. She put some sage sausage in there. Yeah, it's good.
I'm for real. I'm gonna hit you up.
I'm gonna get I got you.
You making it, right?
I put her on the spot. Because I asked her to make me some, so I'll give you a taste because it's good.
Hey, what's the difference between stuffing and dressing, though?
Nobody knows.
Nothing.
Nobody knows. Nobody.
One is in the turkey and one is not.
Correct.
Literally the difference.
It's irrelevant. It's the same thing, man. What are we doing? We're trying too hard. All right, make some noise one more time. Tyus Bowser, Calais Campbell.
Yes, sir.
Calais, is there anything we can plug for you, bro, that you got going on? Anything we can? You've obviously been so involved in so many things over the years. Can we plug anything for you?
I mean, I got a turkey giveaway coming up on Monday next week. You know, which should be fun. But I mean, we have everything we need, volunteers, all that stuff. So it's really just living one day at a time, trying to enjoy the ride, and making sure that this season is. I'm emptying the tank, giving my all, and just go to battle with my boys every day.
Love it, man. Love it. Tyus, love you, bro. Appreciate you. So happy we got to talk about you being back out on the field, man. That meant everything in the world. Hey, thank you to everybody who came out tonight. Thank you to Pressbox, to 105.7 The Fan, to Great Eights Memorabilia. Don't forget great8smemorabilia.com with the number 8. Find out more about the bowling and skating events they're doing for Rollin' for Santa in December. Ginsu Kamado Grill, our friends at Maryland Vascular Specialists, greatly appreciate them. Man, Mother's North Grill in Timonium, thank you for having us out. In 2 weeks, we will be at the other Mothers. We're going to the other side of town.
Yeah,
2
baby.
weeks from tonight.
Federal Hill.
Rita, no, we're going to the one. We're going down to Anne Arundel County. We're going down.
Oh, we're going down.
Yeah,
okay,
we're going
my
down that
bad.
one, right?
I'm sorry.
Mother's Peninsula Grill. Looking forward to it. Rita, we will see you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday
for the Baltimore Game Day Uncensored post game show. For Rita, for Tyus, for Calais, I'm Glenn. This has been the Tyus Bowser Show.